Good evening, everyone. Welcome along to the MODUS Super Series. Well, I have one simple question for you. Group B or not Group B? We've got 10 fantastic matches for you between now and around about 1 o'clock in the morning. And here are some of the stars on show. Barry Van Peer broke the record in terms of legs difference in Group A last time out and will be looking to do the business in Group B on this occasion. Lee Budgeon's previous Super Series experience saw him beat Fallon Sherrock in Group B. We'll see her later on tonight. As for Sean McDonald, he made it through to the semi-finals on his previous appearance in the competition, his first under this roof. As for Fallon, a finalist last time out, now liaged out by Steve West in the finale and should be looking to become the first woman to qualify for Champions Week. On the subject of Champions Week, Scott Taylor made it in scintillating style, averaging 109 to get the better of Andy Bolton. That's our 5-star lineup for Thursday night. Indeed, it is a 5-star banquet full of tungsten delights here this evening. And the appetiser sees Matt Edgar join me up here on the balcony. Now, we did leave you a bit of a cliffhanger earlier on this afternoon if you were joining us on Sporty Stuff TV, because Matthew Edgar said that he had a prediction going into tonight. So before we talk about Group B, tell us about your prediction.
Well, the prediction is about Group B. It's about who's going to win Group B. And all week so far, I've been laying against Barry Van Peer. Every single day I've said, take him on the odds. Today, I'm going to say the opposite. I think this group is going to go to Barry Van Peer.
Well, you heard it here first from Matthew. We'll talk about Group B a little bit more in just a second, but this afternoon we saw an intriguing Group C battle commence, where pretty much everyone bar Alan Noyes is still in that hunt for a spot in Saturday night's finale. It sees Jamie Kelling and Alex Small occupy the top 2 positions, both winning 4 from their first 5 matches. But Joey ten Berg, John Brown, Von Meulenkamp are all very much in the race.
They are in terms of getting through to Saturday, but I don't want to be too negative. I don't want to be disrespectful to what we've seen or this group in general. But on what we have seen today, I think regardless of the 2 players that come through this group, I don't think we're going to see the winner of this week coming from Group C. Because when we look at what the performance line was for the Group C, and we'll be doing this in the morning when we look at the numbers of those groups and we dig deeper into those stats, it was really far down and there was a lot of opportunities given, a lot of opportunities missed. It was more about the people at the top of them taking the chances that was presented rather than making their own.
So that is Group C. The conclusion of that is going to come from 1 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. So please do join us here on Sporty Stuff TV and the Super Series YouTube channel for that. But let's see how the week breaks down now, because we'll call it the halfway point. Now Group B has begun. We already know the first of our finalists. That's Jim Long. He was the victor in Group A on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday, respectively. We've spoken about Group C, but, I mean, you look at that cast list of names that we're going to see tonight, and you could genuinely, I know you've put your nail to the mast on Barry Van Peer, but you could make a genuine case for anyone there to go on and win the group.
We could do, but again, when we look at the form of the whole season, we look at where these people are playing the darts, Fallon Sherrock, for example, and these people that are playing on the Challenge Tour. Barry Van Peer is dominating the Challenge Tour. The Challenge Tour is all about Barry Van Peer. Now, he hasn't played to his best level so far this week, but it has to turn around at some point. You don't play like he has for a whole year and then it all just go wrong. It can go wrong for a day or 2, or like it has so far, 3 days. It's not really gone wrong. It's just not been to that level. It's going to turn around soon. I think it starts tonight. We've
never seen Barry Van Peer play a second group here at the Super Series, because last time he was here, he won Group A, and he won it with, at the time, record legs difference. So for him, it's going to be a new experience. Does he have to try and just reset the clock, put it all back to 0, and almost consider it a bit like a new week?
It's a new experience in that respect, but it's not a new experience because Barry Van Peer's been around the block for quite some time. He's still young in darts, but he's been around for a long way, and that is on the Pro Tour and quite a lot of the big stages around the world. So although it's kind of new, it's not. It's just in a different place or a different setting. Barry is very well adverse to this. He's won some big titles this year, and I just think he's the man to beat.
Well, Barry Van Peer is Matt Edgar's tip. Let's see what the bookies are saying about the action. We're going to see over the next couple of nights, because Barry Van Peer like Matt Edgar predicted, goes out the 15-8 favourite. But is this the group, Matt Edgar, where you look at the value, where you look at some players who've got proven track records elsewhere? Scott Taylor made it the Champions Week last time out. Fallon Sherritt with the CV she's got. Sean McDonald too, let's not forget, in Southampton, did some amazing stuff. Is this the type of group where you maybe, if you're going to look against a leader, there is value to have?
There's big prices, but there's big prices for a reason, and that is because the man that's heading that table there in Barry Van Peer. Now, I'm not just going with the favourite here. I have laid him every single day so far, and when he was even money's 8-15, I said, don't take it. It wasn't the value play at that period of time, but I just think moving forward now, the time of day that we're going to be playing, the days that have gone by, he's going to be ready for this. He's not going to be chuffed that he's even playing in this group. He would have been wanting to get through Group A. He'll probably be disappointed. He's got a winning mentality at the moment, and one thing he didn't do was get those wins. So he's going to be disappointed, but he's starting afresh, he's starting new. I think he could even go through the card.
Let's see what some of the recommended tips are for this evening, because these are our bet builder for tonight's action for all 10 games. And, well, we were having a chat about this off air before we went on air this evening, this 12-1 treble. There's a couple you want to take on here, isn't there?
I find it hard to agree with any of this bet builder, to be honest with you. I think at 12-1, I'd be saying to people at home, close your eyes at this point and maybe just ignore this point of the show. I'm looking through it and I'm thinking, well, Van Peer wasn't prolific with the 180s. He had some games where he had a lot of 180s, but it wasn't consistent in terms of that. Again, the handicap bet in there, Lee Budgeon, last time he was here, he won Group A, and he was mightily impressive in doing so. So, again, I won't be looking at no handicaps against him either. I'm a little bit dubious of this one. It's not one that I would be playing along with.
So 18 plus speak, hamandaway.org if you want to back the bet booster tonight. Right, let's get into the action then, because Lee Budgeon, first up against Fallon Sherritt. Now, we've seen him a couple of times here at the Super Series. He's picked up some scalps here at the Super Series in the past. He's made a Saturday night here. Is the next level of progression, as far as he's concerned, is to now turn Saturday nights into week victories as we have a look at his all-time stats?
He's playing okay, and I say okay at the running average there of 84. We know he can go more than that. He has recently, or in the past, should I say, won a PDC Challenge Tour, which they're very hard titles to win, and they've got some roll of honour as they go through those. So we know that he can hit these all-time highs, and he's got a very good ceiling, a ceiling that maybe is not quite shown as here, despite winning a Group A in the past and doing well. But absolutely, it's something that he'd want to do and add a weekly title to his name, as most people do. This is now becoming a target.
Just quickly, word on the conditions here this evening, because it is very warm in the venue.
It's very warm in the venue, but what people have got to do is they've got to look at managing that correctly as well, because what they'll do is they'll come out here, they'll go, oh, it's warm, they'll get back in the practice room, they'll whack the air conditioning on, and then they'll come out and it'll just feel warmer and hotter, and then it's going to be harder to transition between those two temperatures. So although it might be a bit uncomfortable, it's about embracing that throughout the entire evening in every room.
Well, the heat is on as the race for qualification for Saturday night continues to warm up. Will we get off to a fiery start? Let's find out. Lee Budgeon in action up against Fallon Sherritt. Joining Matt Edgar in the commentary box is the coolest man in the house. It's a very good evening to Chris Murphy.
Thank you very much, Henry. Yes, for the big intro, and we should have a big intro for the star of the Super Series, the biggest name in the field in most weeks here, and one of the iconic talents in world darts. Fallon Sherritt on the hockey. Her opponent, Lee Budgeon, 28 years of age from Hull, a winner of a Challenge Tour event and a man who reached finals night, along with Fallon, when they played on the same week of the last series. Queen of the Palace looking to return to the Empress Ballroom in Blackpool at the Winter Gardens next month to defend her Women's World Match Play crown. Danny McNamara, the referee this evening, and it's game on in game one. Will it be
58?
Another Group B victory over Fallon Sherritt for Lee Budgeon.
81.
As I mentioned, this pair were in the same week in the previous series.
90.
not only were they in the same week, they were also in the same group, and Lee Budgeon won both of their meetings in that group.
45.
And he won them both in last leg deciders, 4-3. However, Fallon Sherritt got a revenge when it really mattered. The pair both progressed to finals night. She won 4-2 in that meeting. So this
81.
pair are pretty familiar with playing each other on that stage. And Fallon Sherritt, of course, for the first time playing a full week here at the Super
100.
Series, is already familiar with the stage and in this heat. And it does tend to get a little warmer in the evenings. Even Matthew Edgar's nearly broken out of
55.
sweat walking down the stairs.
That wouldn't be anything different for me, actually. Tackling a couple of stairs, breaking out the sweat. But yeah, it is warm in here this evening. It's getting hotter, and
78.
the summer months are coming in. Just been out there up on the balcony with Henry, and I can concur how warm it is. And just got to reiterate that point that it's down to the players as well to manage. You can't control what is happening out there, but you can control how you manage it. So stay well hydrated.
97.
Don't go to the
Lee
air
requires
conditioning unit.
77.
And wear sunscreen, folks. Double top then for Budgeon.
57.
And Sherrick has a
Fallon,
chance
you
to pick his
require
pocket.
100.
In a Group A campaign, she was actually the best hitter of the Ton Plus finishers. She hit 7. Topped by a 152.
34.
Which is probably
Lee
why she
required
reacted
20.
like that to messing that one up.
Game shot on the first
Allowing
leg. Lee
Budgeon a
Budgeon.
return. Well, she's made a bit of a reputation in terms of
Second
the
leg
way
Fallon
she
to throw first.
deals
Game
with
on.
those big checkouts, and not just here at the Super Series, but it's one of the weapons that she's got in her arsenal.
140.
It's kind of like an ice queen, so she should be having no trouble in the hotter temperature.
Did you say ice queen or ice cream?
81.
I'm now daydreaming about a cornetto or something similar.
I'm surprised you're daydreaming after food, after the amount I've just seen you tuck away.
60.
Should have got a flurry. Can't go down brand names. But will we get a flurry of high scores, big
82.
finishers this evening? This afternoon's group was okay, that the action was kind of
100.
all about players timing it well and taking their opportunities, the two at the top, rather than anybody really setting the group alight. Looking at this group, I think it's a very good group, and I think that you have to play well to win matches
41.
in this group.
Yeah, it's very competitive. It's a very tight group, for sure. Just, like I said at the top of the show, I feel like Berry Van Peer's got the
60.
potential here to go through the card. There's going to be plenty of resistance to that. We've seen big things from Fallon Sherrick at times this week. We know what Lee Budgeon's capable of, a former Challenge Tour
84.
winner.
Fallon, you require
Same as
141.
Sean McDonald and Scott Taylor.
Got time on a side here, but
77.
that treble will probably come in handy. I'd just offered some optimism to Budgeon there. You put any stock in the fact that Budgeon won the 2 meetings
100.
in
Fallon,
front
you
of an
require
empty
64.
house, and Fallon won the one in front of a crowd?
Yeah, I think that could have some legs to it.
44. Lee require 113.
Obviously much more used to playing in front of an audience, Fallon Sherrick.
Game shot on the
He's got
second
some
leg.
legs to it in
Lee
this one
Budgeon.
as well, too, to be precise. A lovely 113 finish there from Lee Budgeon. But yeah,
Third leg
there's
Lee to throw first. Game
there's a
on.
thing really with players, and again, I'm speaking from experience. You can play behind doors against people, and you can beat certain people either away from
93.
cameras. But then when you play them in front of the cameras, you know that sort of people don't really know of those other results, and they kind of know the name of the events.
59.
I know when I certainly play people, maybe in an exhibition, for example, you know that the people in the crowd fully know who the other guy is. So actually, they're sort of expecting that result, and you sort of feel that
140.
atmosphere as well. That you're the underdog, despite the fact you've already beat that player twice this week.
Well, he's making the moves early in this one.
140.
Missing that dart at the end of the 64 combo in the previous leg.
$31.
Gonna have to fill this up now.
Oh,
And does exactly that.
62.
Fabulous visit from Fallon.
Just looking back through
140.
last 3 days when she played in Group A,
140.
this fixture number 1, she has won all 3 days. So she normally starts with a bang.
98. Lee requiring
She's going to
97.
do that. She's going to have to turn around. 2-0 deficit here to Lee Budgeon, which will include hoping that he misses tops.
It
77.
was interesting that she
Fallon, you
elected to try
require
and stay on the
42.
18s on the 140 attempt, having hit it 3 times. It's actually meant that she's ended up with 2 darts at double rather than 1, and she gone the more conventional way and hit a treble. And
30.
she cannot
Lee
utilise
20.
either of those 2 darts.
A bit of early frustration here for Fallon. That
Game
frustration
shot
will
the
grow
third
even
leg,
more,
Lee
especially if she was
Budgeon.
watching that one, because that was squeezed right into the corner. Doesn't matter where it hits the double, as long as it does.
Fourth leg Fallon to throw
Budgeon
first.
puts
Game
himself
on.
just a leg away from kicking off his campaign absolutely perfectly. A 4-0 success. In a group that is tight like this,
100.
big leg differences like that could become vital.
It would be the perfect start for him, the worst possible start for her. It is a group where there's a lot of coming back. Lose a game or 2, it's not the end of the
59.
world, even by a big margin like this. But as Matthew was just saying, a good leg difference can really help, because often
77.
positions in this group are separated by that metric.
That's one of the things I like about Group B. It's never really over. You can lose a couple of matches because of the 3 positions and only the 5 players. You always feel like you've got an opportunity, but
140.
normally you see someone with real quality and pizzazz and showmanship come through a Group B and to the champion.
Yeah, it's quite often, isn't it, that somebody wins all 4
60.
matches on the first night as well. Intentionally ignored, being lured into asking who he might have been talking about there, by the way. But it's Steve West.
56.
A few more weeks back. Keep going.
Actually, we mentioned that finals night in which Fallon beat Lee Budgeon. She ended up losing out to Steve West in the
100.
money match. Would have seen her qualify for Champions Week. 4-1 win for West. Of course, last week's winner back at Champions Week for this series. At the end of this week,
28.
we will have filled half the
Fallon, you require
field.
164. $66.
I like that. I do like that. Going downstairs on the 101, because she was going at the 19s at 82 shot. 25 all ball, 17 for tops.
96.
you start
Fallon, you require
On the 20s,
98.
leave yourself 81. Might be a dart at the ball with the last dart in hand.
Can she find a double?
79.
Over adjusted.
Lee require
Budgeon has a chance
122.
to adjust the scoreline to 4-0. Treble 18. Fallon returns.
54.
Now,
Fallon, you
no
require
margin for error.
19. Three. Lee requires
That
68.
frustration just continues to grow.
Just to wrap it up.
28.
Well, it's 7 missed darts,
Fallon, you
a
require
double for Fallon
16.
Sherrock so far. Number 8 misses double 8. Number 9 misses double 4.
12.
And so does number
Lee
10.
require 40.
Should be wondering what's going wrong, because it's not really been a problem
Game
for her
shot
through the week.
and a
But it
match,
has been the
Lee
undoing of her
Budgeon.
in this match. Lee Budgeon does enough, and he comes through with a comfortable 4-0 success. He kicks off his campaign perfectly, courtesy with a 113 at a crucial time early on in that match. Coming up next, we've got Sean McDonald taking on Berry Vampire.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where our opening game of the night saw Lee Budgeon get the better of Fallon Sherritt by 4-0. Doing so, including a ton plus checker on the 113. Budgeon's campaign is off to the most perfect of beginnings. Right, next up for us here at the Live Lounge at Portsmouth, it is Berry Vampire in action. He takes on Sean McDonald, one of the all-time legends of this competition. And this is how he sizes up in his times here in Portsmouth and in Southampton. As you can see, running average of 90.07. Excellent stuff. Checkout ratio of 39%, just under, but he's yet to secure a big fish finish here. Maybe that's something we may see from him over the next couple of days. Right, watching this one in the commentary box, it's Matt and Chris.
Thanks, Henry. Yeah, back to action for Berry Vampire, who was part of Group A and doing some rather unorthodox stuff in it. Arguably the best player outside of the Pro Tour at the moment. He is head and shoulders above the rest on the Challenge Tour order of merit. But he faces Sean McDonald, the 38-year-old Scotsman, who played at the WDF World Championship at Lakeside just over a year ago. As I said, Berry Vampire Made it to the last 16 at the Grand Slam, but top of the Challenge Tour at the moment, picking up titles left, right and centre, though maybe Matt
First
hasn't
leg,
shown
Sean
that form
to
yet this
throw
week.
first.
Nowhere near.
Game on.
And I'm only judging him by his own success. I'm not. If I'm judging him by the playing field this week, he's been 2 or above the average sort of standard. If we include this morning's action in Group C, he's well above the standard.
100.
But I'm judging Berry Van Peer by the standard that Berry Van Peer has set this year. And yet to turn up. But if you saw the start of the show, you'll know he's my pick for tonight. And it's not because I'm picking the favourite, because I've laid him every single day, even when he was around 1 to 2. It's because I think now's the time he's going to really show. But he's going to have to, because Sean McDonald
140.
started superbly.
Not quite as superbly as this. That just changes a little bit, but it's 5 out of 6 starts
135.
in the treble 20 for Van Peer. Might be the best berry you've ever picked.
Oh, very aggressive throw, hasn't he? Sean McDonald. You won't want to stand in front of him. Could be chopping down trees with that action.
Yeah, make sure that he gives the same due care and attention to every dart. The
41.
real
Sean to require
forceful follow
161.
through. It does result in a rather lengthy visit to the oche. But you can see how much care he takes.
$137. Barrier require
12 darts thrown.
145.
Double 12 left. Berry just working it out. 66 left. So
93.
options.
Sean, you
I
require
have no
24.
idea what route Berry Van Peer is going to go for things. He's been going some very strange routes this week, but this one, a very simple equation. Right now it's double 6. Still double 6, but 1 dart left.
12.
So we'll give you the full list of
Barrier
options here.
require
12 top,
52.
20 double 16, 16 double 18. Any others?
Double 1 ball, 9 3 double top, 9 11 double 16.
We got it right in the end, but
20.
he couldn't. And McDonald
Sean,
returns,
you
looking
require 12.
east to double 6. Now south to double 3.
No score. Barrier
Intentional
require
bus.
32. Game
And
shot on the
Van
first
Peer
leg.
says thank
Barry
you
Van
very
Peer.
much.
Was listening in earlier on.
Second leg, Barry to
Henry
throw
Deacon
first.
caught up with
Game on.
Sean McDonald for a bit of a chat. We'll hopefully be showing you bits of that throughout the week or on the
57.
Super Series YouTube channel. And it's really interesting. I was really getting engrossed in what Sean McDonald was saying and the sort of journey he's been on and he's going on, because for Sean McDonald's, darts isn't the be-all and end-all for him. He's got a
59.
very good job, a career that he's very proud to be a professional of. He's highly qualified and skilled in his field.
100.
And with that, darts now for him isn't what it was for him as a youth. As a youth, he wanted to be a professional dart player. For him now, he described this as an escape.
$95.
That was interesting. Last time he was here, the first time he came here to this venue, he did talk about sort of everything being a bonus and just wanting to see how it
100.
goes. But you could see the real fight in him on the finals night. He also made it through to the Saturday session on his maiden outing.
Imagine having that, just a casual hobby that you go and do once a month where you could earn
140.
thousands of pounds.
Yeah, he beat Kevin Painter 4-0 on that finals night. Put himself in a great
65.
position to qualify. Then won his next match against Chris Landman before losing out to the eventual winner Mike Gillett in the semi-finals when it was looking like McDonald was the man to beat that evening.
You mentioned that he played at Lakeside. He's due to do so again this year
71.
as well, so he will be making a second appearance there, and it wasn't a successful journey down to Lakeside for him on the first occasion, but
139.
like most people, it's
Jean
not
Leroy,
normally something they hit the ground running with.
136.
It's normally the second swing of the bat.
He can't get the swing of the arm right on this occasion, so Van Peer will return with 3 clear at tops.
96. Barry require 40. Game shot on the second leg. Barry
Zip
Van
it is,
Peer.
and that confirms the breaker throw there for Barry Van Peer. And we had a 4-0
Third leg
success in
Sean
our
to
opening
throw
game, Lee
first.
Budgeon beating Fallon
Game on.
Sherrick. We are on course for it again here.
I said this would be a really competitive group so far. The winning player hasn't lost a leg. Budgeon will return looking to carry on that record when he takes on Scott
45.
Taylor in game 3. Alan Sherrick will meet McDonald in game 4 before Van Peer plays Taylor in game 5.
140.
Van Peer hitting a lot of his big scores here against the darts. That's how you want it to be. How far back that drawback comes. The dart completely disappears behind the head. It's like a magic trick.
100.
I've got a dart. No, I don't. Oh, there it is.
A lot more happening for Berry, even though
60.
the action is much quicker. Sticks the arm right out, almost thrown from the shoulder. You can almost feel the tension in the arm as well, can't you? The way that he sets it all up.
Well, because he pulls it so far back, it's going to engage the lift of the shoulder,
140.
which you'll see in the angle between the shoulder and the elbow. Because the further back that comes, the more it's just got to come up, tighten
140.
up around that shoulder. That's probably why, and it counteracts, because he throws so hard, he can get away with that.
Almost looks Sean McDonald, I think, like someone who's trying to find the perfect throw. Like he stands perfectly
96.
central in the hockey with the foot flush
161.
side on to it, a bit like Phil Taylor used to do, and it's such a deliberate aim, hoping that he can repeat it so often that nothing can go wrong. With the complete opposite for Barry Van Peer.
91.
Starting positions right off to the left, the arms right off to the
120.
right.
And he finds a way to hit the big stuff.
Might have been a
80.
bit unfortunate there, McDonald.
70.
When I hunt down the treble 20, found the wrong treble next door. Berry can rescue this by bedding the ball.
45.
Close.
Sean
No cigar.
Euroquar 40.
Well, to make sure we don't get back-to-back 4-nillers.
Game shot in the third
We
leg.
can stop
Sean
thinking about
McDonald.
4-nils now. Sean McDonald polishes that one off in just 16 darts. Barry Van Peer
Fourth leg, Barry
will
to
be
throw
slightly
first.
disappointed he
Game
only got
on.
a dart at the ball. It was his own doings.
Oh, 145.
Some Dutch players tend to do that start of visits. I'm not quite sure what the thinking behind it is. Going for the ball with dart 3.
58.
I don't know the thinking of 90% of the stuff Barry Van Peer's been doing. You haven't seen what's been going on this week.
You've just done it again. So this leg he's decided that at the end of every visit he's going to go for the bullseye. Is that what we are to assume?
Don't assume anything with Barry. Trust me, this is going to get funky.
140.
Yep, he's done it again.
65.
He's got to win the leg on the bullseye, surely, from here.
That time there was actually some method in the madness because it's left him on a finish.
But I like to use the term burning darts, which sometimes you can do if you're not careful about the ways in which you go for
95.
shots.
Barry Require 161.
Well, it might be the bullseye at the end of this visit as well. Oh, it would have been remarkable. I'm not sure it was actually in the treble.
75.
I think it pretty much bounced off the wire.
$81. Barry require 86.
Good quality affair, this one. McDonald around about the 90. And Pia around about the 95.
Game shot of the fourth leg, Barry Van Peer.
The most important stat now is the legs column. 3-1 to Barry Van Peer. He's a leg away from kicking off his campaign.
Fifth leg, Sean
With
to
a
throw first.
2
Game on.
points in the points tally.
$46.
Our next game coming up. Scott Taylor against the man who's won 4-0 already, Lee Budgeon. That is the point I
82.
really enjoy of the week, because that's the point where you turn around and go, we've seen everybody play now, we've seen the winner.
Don't worry, we'll be asking you who that winner's going to be as soon as you have seen everybody play.
I think I can give you it already.
Although Scott Taylor's one worth waiting to watch, isn't he? Because he has been a weekly winner before, of course.
129.
A winner on the Challenge Tour as well. He has been a winner in many places.
59.
Almost a winner on the Pro Tour, reached a final, didn't he?
He played very well that day. Ampere have been playing well all this year.
55.
Keep talking about that Dutch Open. That is some title to win, like 5,000 entries over in Assen in
100.
Holland. You have to play it over 2 days because there's that many entries that you have to qualify for the last 64. That's on the Sunday.
Needs to find a treble. And can't, so Van Peer
57.
could set up a winning opportunity now. That win really that you mentioned for Van Peer really did kickstart his year, didn't it?
134.
Everything followed that Dutch Open success.
I think when you win an event like that, you know you're playing well. It just gives you so much confidence. I mean, winning any event gives you confidence and like just that air of validation. Throwing a dart to win a title, whatever title
40.
it is,
Barry require
such a different feeling.
126.
But if he wants it,
94.
decided against it in the end, waited until the last dart to check Sean McDonald's score, saw he wasn't on the finish, and thought, why bother?
$100. Barry require 32.
4-0 to Lee Budgeon in the opening match of this session. Barry Van Peer completes
Game
a
shot.
4-1
And the
win
match,
in
Barry
the
Van
second,
Peer.
seeing off Scotland's Sean McDonald in emphatic fashion. A good display as well from the Dutch darter. An average in the end of 93, hit half of his double attempts, including a high of an 86 checkout. And Barry Van Peer looks very, very dangerous at the start of Group B, which will resume after the break with Budgeon taking on Taylor.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where before the break it was a case of Bay Vampire doing Bay Vampire things. 50% on the doubles, 93 average, and a 4-1 victory against Sean McDonald in his first game of the evening. Well, we've already seen Lee Budgeon in action this evening. He was a 4-0 victor against Fallon Sherrick. Now he's up against Scott Taylor. It's the first appearance of the week for him. He made it to Champions Week last time out in this particular competition. He did so at 88.5 average all time, 37% when it comes to the doubles, and he has treated us to a big fish as well. So some really impressive stats from Scott. And watching this one in the commentary box, it's Matt and Chris.
And after Scott, that's your lot. As Matthew Edgar said, he is the final runner in the field, the last man to enter the wrestling ring. Will he be the one standing at the end of this big bout? The 31-year-old from Bolton takes on fellow challenge to a winner in Lee Budgeon, who's already enjoyed a victory this evening. 4-0 against Fallon Sherrick in the opening match of the night. Can Budgeon carry on in that vein, or will Taylor give him a thing or two to think about?
100.
We know he's got the game to do to Budgeon what Budgeon did to Fallon Sherrick. He's a former PDC tour card holder. Something Lee Budgeon's yet to achieve. He won that in the 2017 edition of Q School, beating Tony Alcinas in the final.
57.
5-1 success there on day number 3. Then he went on to reach a Pro Tour final. He's played in the World Trophy, the UK Open, reached the Players' Championship finals. That would be off the back of that run to the Pro Tour final in 2018. So plenty of pedigree behind Scott Taylor.
It would be an interesting match. So I did say that I was going to ask you once you'd seen everybody if you could pick a winner for the week. Now, you quite confidently said I can already pick it, so I'm not even going to wait to see how Taylor performs in this match. I'm just going to get you to give that prediction nice and early now.
I think someone's going to have to really raise their game and really time that A game. We know everyone's got it, but can they produce it at the right time? And if they can, it needs to be against Jim Long, because he's the man to beat.
Beat Jim Long, and you might be taking the title on Saturday. That is the Oracle Edgar's
64. Scott War 52.
Prediction. If Scott Taylor can change his mind with performances in Group B,
Game shot on the
he
first
does hit
leg,
double 10 to take the first leg of this match and the first leg of the night off Lee Budgeon. Well, the Fallon Sherrick wasn't without opportunities in that game. She missed 10 darts at double in it.
Game on.
Yeah, average for Lee Budgeon was only a 78.08. It wasn't a dominant performance. It was just a clinical one. He was presented with opportunities and he took every single one of them, which is one way of winning the game.
Sherrick herself will return in the next match to face Sean McDonald, who was also beaten heavily. 4-1 by Berry Van Peer. Scott Taylor has turned up, though, here.
It must be hard as well being a dart player with the surname 57. of Taylor. You've got quite a bit to live up to, and I wonder if he ever gets that as well. You Phil Taylor's lad.
He's playing like Phil Taylor at the moment. Because he's 6 perfect darts, a 180, followed by another one. And Scott Taylor is teasing the prospects of perfection.
Scott War 141.
Something that has only been done by Conor Heenahan so far in this venue. And it'll stay that way for a little bit longer.
Leroy 164.
It could be the irony of him losing the leg. If Budgeon can pop this out, that's not going to happen.
It's something that happens quite often. People hit the 2 180s, then go on to lose the leg. I think it's the distraction as well, isn't it? From the feeling of hitting that 180s and being on that 9-darter. But it's an 11-darter in the end from Scott Taylor. He's here to play. I said someone's going to need to bring their A game if they're going to topple Jim Long.
Third leg, Scott to throw
You might think I've spoke a bit too early.
Game on.
Yeah, well, he's certainly announcing himself into the equation. It's definitely your prerogative to change your mind at the end of this match if Taylor
100.
does do something rather special here.
Nope, I'm far too stubborn for that.
$100.
I am from Yorkshire, and you know the expression. Say what I like, and I like what I say.
60.
Well, don't forget, you can be here yourself on Saturday night. Tickets available via dartshop.tv.
61.
Join the party here in Portsmouth. You can do so by scanning that QR code. It'll take you straight to the ticket page if you're available. 7:30 Saturday night. Football season's
99.
over. What? How about a night at the darts? And according to Matthew Edgar, you could be here for a good time and a long time.
140.
Resetting himself a bit here. Scott Taylor.
96.
He's a good quality when players can play without the need of that sort of rhythm and pace. We can throw the darts where it almost feels like a first dart every time.
40. Squad require 146. $91. Lead require 160.
That may have been a bit of a miscount there for Scott Taylor, and he's realised it. But he has got a little bit of a cushion on the squadboard, which
63.
gonna make it a
Squad
little
require
bit irrelevant.
55.
Double 10 to make sure he puts it
45.
completely right. Hasn't quite managed
Lead
that.
require 97. Game shot in the
Double
third
top.
leg. Lee Budgeon.
Found by Budgeon to halve the deficit and break the throw.
Fourth leg Lee to throw first. Game on. $57. $59. $125.
nice recovery there from Lee Budgeon after the first one going in the 5. That angle just showing you the little kick to the side that you get on the
134.
darts from Scotty T.
$42.
Can dictate things such as the side of the board you like to throw at the doubles when you have that just that little bit of a kick over, because you can tend to find that you can block off doubles such as an
43.
8 or a 16. If you go low and on the wire, you can tend to cut about 70% off of what you can see, and then you tend to just be sort of flowing over the top of the darts.
100. $95.
Well, he leaves the big one. Budgeon now looking likely here to leave a much smaller one. Well, how much smaller? 18s.
93. Squad require
Had he missed, he'd
170.
have left 120, but Taylor might even be slight favourite to win this leg. 84 is certainly
96.
no easy out.
Lee
No
require
guarantee.
84.
It'll be a dart at double 11. He's gone aggressive.
73.
He's calm inside the 11s.
Squad require 74.
Offering the opportunity for Scott Taylor, who doesn't need a treble. It'll give him more opportunities. Going to be 2 darts.
Game shot on the fourth
That's
leg.
good composure
Scott
there
Taylor.
from Scott Taylor. Lee Budgeon was coming back at him. He had the 2-0 lead on the board. Budgeon had a dart to get that one level.
Fifth leg, Scott to
Taylor
throw first.
breaks
Game
the
on.
throw of Lee Budgeon. Gives himself an opportunity of the perfect start. Seem to be saying that a lot.
Yeah, it could be another heavy victory.
95.
I was going to say, it's like everyone's come out swinging tonight, but it's like the winners have come out windmilling.
140.
Interesting contrast for Budgeon, having won that first match 4-0. And we spoke about the benefit of his leg difference. Well, all the good work could be undone pretty much straight away here.
It's sort of interesting how the fixtures sort of break down, because Scott Taylor at the moment looks the most likely to
134.
go on to pick up this victory. Put 3 players on 2 points, and the 2 players that lost their opening games on 0 points will play each other in the next match.
87.
Fallon Sherrick having the darts against Sean McDonald.
Just took his time getting the darts out. I think one of them was stuck a little bit there. But it's unsettled Budgeon. He stepped back and reset a couple of times. Better doing that than throwing his darts while he was feeling unsettled, of course.
60.
Yeah, absolutely. And those well-thrown darts just completely on the wire. It's sometimes the real frustration for players when you feel like you're thrown well.
59.
And they're not going to, then your opponent goes up, it's 1 by tops, 1 by bull. Last one goes in, they score 100. So sometimes it's best not to watch.
59. Squad require 120.
For this to get the job done, the Shanghai shot for Scott Taylor could go bull-bull here. He does go bull-bull.
79.
Not land a second one in the smallest target. Gives Budgeon the opportunity. Double 16. Get a break and keep this game going. Big dart, big moment. A Taylor missed bull. All the difficulty came from that first dart, being low on the treble 20. Felt he blocked it.
To throw first.
Gave himself a shot. But Budgeon cleaning up with a fabulous 108.
$96. 96.
That's been Lee Budgeon's second big finish so far. Already. Only match number 2. He took out a 113 in his opening game against Fallon Sherrick, and it's got to be said that was a well-timed one as well in leg number 2 when Fallon was on a finish. So he certainly doesn't shy away from the big moments and the big finishes. Can dig deep when he needs to.
100.
Needs to right again here.
59.
Couple of treble 20s to get himself down to a finish. That's not going to happen. So Budgeon
58.
looking to force a decider. It was looking like the game had slipped away from him. Taylor did have that match dart at the bullseye.
58.
But would have felt it should have been so much better.
$85.
Slip. Big slip. Could be a big error from Scott Taylor, that last start, moving him to a non-finish.
96.
We said this afternoon many times. An error is only an error when it's punished. That's where if Budgeon steps in and hits a couple of trebles, Scott Taylor
54.
feeling him going all the way.
require 96.
Could be another clutch finish from Budgeon.
Games
And it is
of the
a lovely 96
Budgeon.
out shot, denying Taylor a go at the 108 that he'd taken out himself in the previous leg. We do go the distance in
Seventh
this
and
one.
final leg,
Taylor
Scott to throw
has the
first.
darts, but might
Game
be
on.
feeling like a man who should have got this game wrapped up earlier.
87. 93.
Game really levelling out in terms of the averages. Both players
45.
89.5. The game is levelled out on the scoreboard. Lee Budgeon, in his opening game, 4-0 victory over Fallon Sherrick. He did it the easy way. This one, he
59.
might be about to turn around a big deficit. Do it the hard way. He'll just be happy to do it anyway, get the points on the board.
39.
Well, needs to get the points to stick in the board first. And that's an opening for Budgeon. Can he jump all over it? Another one in there would really hurt.
134.
That's exactly what he delivers.
$98.
Scott Taylor certainly not playing like he did at the start of this game. The distress signals are being sent.
58.
An opportunity presents itself there, a troubleless visit from Lee Budgeon.
26.
What do we just say about
Zero
distress
by
signals?
157.
He might be waving the white flag very soon.
Yeah, 6 darts for Lee. To get over the line by winning the last 3 legs, and he's teed it up perfectly. Taylor, and it's a smile of almost embarrassment in having let the lead slip that Budgeon will step forward to nick it at the death.
27.
And it's another 6 darts for Lee Budgeon. Another mistake for Scott Taylor. 18 darts thrown, and he's back on 179. Which means he may
No score.
just burst the score. Sensible play there for Lee Budgeon. Didn't get himself into a mess. Took advantage of the opportunity which presented himself to have a second go.
59.
Yeah, Taylor laughing even more because he knows this is all his fault, really, doesn't he? Mistakes made in this last leg. Doors open to let Lee back into the game. Was able to bust his score and guarantee himself 3 darts at double on return.
12.
But he hasn't hit any of them. And Scott Taylor, well, all the trouble started really for him on a 120 finish when he put the dart low below the treble. Has he learnt his lesson?
How ironic. Lee Budgeon takes out a lovely 108 and a 96 finish, then misses 6 match darts. But
60.
he will get even more. Scott Taylor has just lost
12.
all composure in this leg.
Can he finally? Eight match darts have gone begging.
6.
Wow, wow. Make it 9, and Taylor somehow has got this match at his mercy all of a
Scott
sudden.
requires 60.
I think this is the definition of failing to success. He's just stumbled and walked. But he
Game,
crosses the
shot,
line.
and the
It
match,
looked early on in that
Scott
game like Scott Taylor was going to run away with it. Lee Budgeon dug deep, fought back, got to 3-all, had 9 match darts, wasn't able to convert. Scott Taylor was. He kicks his campaign off with 2 points. Coming up next, 2 players in search of their first points. Sean McDonald taking on Fallon Sherrick.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series. Before the break, Scott Taylor got the better of Lee Budgeon in a last leg decider by 4 legs to 3. So let's see what's going to happen in this, our 4th match of the evening. Fallon Sherrick in action up against Sean McDonald, both looking to pick up their first points of the evening. And this is being watched in the commentary box by Chris and Matt.
Yeah, thanks, Henry. And yet again, it's that situation where we've got a couple of players who are really looking to put things right. Lee Budgeon, well, he looked like he was going from right to wrong, and then from wrong to right, and then went wrong again in the end for Lee in the previous one. He'd beaten Fallon Sherrick 4-0 in the opener. The Milton Keynes ace, 28 years of age. We all know what she's achieved in her career, taking on the man nicknamed the Punisher, but he was the punished in his opener, beaten 4-1 by Berry Van Peer. So now it is a battle between two players, losing their first match handsomely.
First leg, Fallon to throw first.
Looking to pick up their first points of Group B. Did you see anything from either that suggests they're the favourite for this match?
It depends if we're talking really short term or if we're
39.
talking a bit longer. I mean, if we're talking really short term, Sean McDonald looked decent in his opening game. He just ran into a very good Berry Van Peer. If we're talking in the context of the week, Fallon Sherrick's been very good this week at times. But she didn't show that in that game there.
54.
She dropped below that 80 average. Something she hasn't done all week.
134.
She's played 15 matches in Group A. Never dropped below the 80. That will come down to the fact that she had 10 darts at the double and wasn't able to convert any of them. But what she also has now is she's had a bit of time
60.
to stew, and she may have just had a couple of casual throws on the practice board, but those thoughts and those memories will turn to demons the second she misses 2 or 3 darts in this match.
3 darts, bang on the money there for Fallon Sherrick. One of the areas where it's been less successful for her of late is the women's series, isn't it? Since the emergence of Bo Greaves, the addition of Greaves on that tour, doing things like that. Another one in here would have left her on double 14. But yeah, I think Fallon Sherrick, now and again, she'll go through spells where people start to question the hype and her ability, and she'll do things. And this year, it hasn't really happened on the women's series, but it's happened away from that. Here at the Super Series, all right, she didn't win her week. She got to a final. On the Challenge Tour, she became the first woman in the PDC to hit a 9-dart finish.
59.
Always seems to come up with something.
48.
Let's not forget,
Game
Fallon
on the first
Sherrick.
leg, Fallon
That
Sherrick.
is a good way to put the doubling demons to bed. She was the boss of that women's tour.
Second leg, Sean to
Between her
throw
and Lisa
first.
Ashton, it was who's going to win it this week. It's going to be Fallon, it's going to be Lisa. However, since Bo Greaves has come on there, she's had to take a bit more of a passenger seat and take some of the minor honours, some of those sort of finals,
43.
semi-finals, quarter-finals. And it's hit her hard. I was at an exhibition with her not too long ago, and she was saying that she doesn't feel that her game's got the element of consistency at the moment. She doesn't feel as engaged as such, so she wants to practice harder. She wants to play more. She wants to get that position back. She doesn't want to play second fiddle to Bo or to Lisa.
100.
And she wants to be the top dog still. The place to do that is the Winter Gardens. In just a month's time, the Women's World Match Play will
59.
be rolling into Blackpool. And that is where you need to be ready and stamp the authority. That's why she's here this week. Check out her social media platforms. She's talking about the quality time on the dartboard that she's been having.
85.
That's what she's getting here. Good quality competition. She's up against 4 players that have all won titles and got
56.
very good levels of success.
Sherrick hasn't won in 17 women's series events. a very, very long spell.
That is surprising when you think about the amount of
58.
events she has actually won and the amount of time the events have been running.
$55.
But Bo is the player to beat at the moment on that tour. And Fallon's going to do everything she can to rival that and try and hold on to that match play title.
Yeah, she just having a further dig in the figures. She won 9 out of 17 and then has gone none out of 17 since then. Did reach a final against Bo Greaves, one that I remember well because
93.
there's a bit of a delay in it.
On you require 35.
Falling wall. Sean McDonald hoping to extend this match by levelling it.
Game's on the second
One
leg.
apiece,
Sean
just stopping
McDonald.
Fallon Sherrick in her tracks because she's made a very strong start to this game. And that's something that
Third leg Fallon to throw first.
watching her over the
Game on.
years, during and since that history-making run at Alexandra Palace, I think the key asset in her game is that mentality.
96.
She does have the ability to forget what's gone, to focus on the finish in front of that. And you mentioned it, if she missed a couple of doubles immediately, then that might be a hangover. Instead, she walked up and pinned it straight away.
140.
People talk about that run at Ali Pali. Of course, it's a standout moment, but for me, it was a run at the Grand Slam of darts that
100.
really sort of confirmed her ability.
I spoke about that with Phil Bars, and when I think about the best of Fallon, I think about the game with Peter Wright at the Grand Slam of Darts. But also, we've got to say that that was probably
96.
the last time we saw that version of Fallon. Since then, it has been a version of Fallon that's not quite been up to them sort of levels. And
58.
by her own admission, she probably neglected the work side of the game, which is why she's here this week.
Trying to play herself back into a bit of form. Bit of bad luck
114.
there for McDonald. Good luck for Fallon with that dart on the floor. Could have found himself on a 2-darter. Can she pile on the pressure? She does with a 2-treble turn of her own.
151. $83. Fallon, you require 107.
Very decent game. It's not what you'd expect from two players who were beaten heavily in their opening matches.
I think that's more of a testament to this group and the players that we've got here, and
26.
that you could see someone win 4-0 then go and
On
lose
your
4-0. We nearly
68.
did see that with Lee Budgeon in the last.
McDonald looking to break. We'll get a dart at either double 16 or double top. It is tops,
28.
but it's not in tops.
Fallon, you require
Fallon
81.
Sherrick has gone from being in a pretty good position to maybe only getting a dart at the bull here. 16 would give her that. So it is the button. And she fails
50.
to find it by a distance as
Fallon, you
well.
require 40.
You'll feel that this is a leg she's let go.
I don't think Sean's going to let the opportunity pass him by.
Game's on the third leg. Sean McDonald.
Well, it's called the Punisher, and there's some punishment. He missed chances against
Fourth
this
leg,
man.
Sean to throw first.
He will dish
Game
out
on.
the punishment.
I know a few of you darts nuts might be tuning in after watching the opening night of the World Cup. Just to recap what's happened so far, Lee Budgeon beat
58.
Fallon Sherrick 4-0 in the pair's opening match of the evening, but then went down 4-3 to Scott Taylor in the game before this. In between that, Sean McDonald was beaten 4-1 by Berry Van Peer,
96.
who will return to take on Taylor in the next match of the night. And McDonald is proudly wearing Scottish colours this evening. That were a few shocks, weren't they, at the World Cup?
58.
France, we saw Thibaut Tricol here last week, didn't really play his best. Had a better run on the Pro Tour at the weekend. And they got a stunning win over Northern Ireland.
60.
When you look at the form of Daryl Gurney this year and partnering up with Brendan Dolan, both of those sort of near enough the mid-90s in terms of the average to make quite a good partnership. I thought there'd be a bit of a dark horse in that one, but France was
42.
absolutely brilliant tonight.
Yeah,
There's
it
been
looks like a sad end to that partnership, doesn't it? Because, of course, Josh Rock is ready to replace one of them next year.
Which one will it be? We don't know at this point in time, but Daryl Gurney is finding his best
46.
once again.
Also well worth if you get the opportunity to have a look at some highlights from the Belgium match. For other reasons.
140.
The two teammates who seem to have had some kind of falling out and could not look at each other on the stage.
85.
This time last week we had a bit of falling out on this stage. Lee Shewan and Daniel Lee. Don't often get too much sort of needle here at the Super Series, and I wonder if it is down to the fact that you are going to spend so much time with the opponents in the practice room in comparison to a knockout tournament
60.
when
Sean, you require
if you
110.
lose, you're not going to see him again for a while.
There's a very, very different atmosphere in the practice room here compared to some of the bigger events. In terms of bigger events, I mean like a World
54.
Championship or a Players'
Sean, you
Championship
require
finals where
154.
everyone's just so individual.
Treble 18 would leave tops.
130.
Well, that's pressure with a capital P.
Sean, you require 56. Game shot
That's
of the flag,
clinical
Sean
with a
McDonald.
capital C. I would say it's clinical with a capital C, L, and the rest of the letters, but I'm not sure I'd
Fifth
spell
leg
it
Fallon
correctly.
to throw first. Game on.
Or whatever it is, it's 3-1 to Sean McDonald, and Fallon Cherokee is starting to get frustrated now.
We saw
80.
this in their opening game as well, just that bit of frustration kicking in. As much as she wanted quality time on the board, she'd also wanted to be making sure she was playing on Saturday night.
99.
Every defeat's going to put her further away from that goal, especially that legs column. Didn't start well, a 4-0 defeat to Lee Budgeon.
137.
She's in trouble here against Shawnee Mack.
You ever been to the Granite City of Aberdeen?
I don't think I've ever been to Aberdeen.
40.
Do have a Premier League night up there, of course. In fact, it's where the televised world record average was set by Michael
60.
Van Gerwen.
Oh, I think I've only ever been to Scotland once. It involved a couple of nights away, a chocolate egg and a carrot.
Okay.
$100.
Getting Easter Bunny vibes.
$100.
Well, Sherrick's still fighting here. Although she was getting frustrated with herself, she's still playing at a decent enough standard in this match, and if she can get it together, she can threaten Sean McDonald here. Then again, he might not give her the chance to do so.
124.
It's third 180 of the match, that. She needs treble 18 to get a go at the bull. Otherwise, he will, barring a disaster,
56.
get a match start here.
Sean, you require 82.
What timing that was from Sean McDonald. Perfect time to find the 180 and completely turn this leg around. He's going to get 2 darts at double 16. Alan Sherrick closes her eyes in expectancy.
Game,
She opens
shot,
them and rolls
and
them
that's Sean
because she expects
McDonald.
it's a triple double. The bullseye counts as a double, and Sean McDonald gets the 2 points on the board. A great performance there, a 4-1 victory over Fallon Sherritt, who's only got the 1 leg on the board so far from her 2 matches. She's going to need to improve as the night goes on. But coming up next, we've got Berry Van Peer taking on Scott Taylor.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where before the break it was maximum punishment from the Punisher, Sean McDonald. 3 maximums, 87 average, en route to a 4-1 victory against Fallon Sherritt. Right, next up for us, it is the battle between Berry Van Peer and Scott Taylor, 2 players who both won their opening games of the evening. By the end of this one, every player would have played twice. Watching this one in the commentary box, Matt and Chris.
And every player has points already. We said it would be a hard-fought group, but Fallon Sherritt is the one that's fallen behind. No points for her. 2 for Sean McDonald from 2 games. 2 for both of these players from 1 match. And 2 for Lee Budgeon, who is top on leg difference. Having won a game and lost a game. Lost it 4-3 to Scott Taylor. And I think they won their matches, Matt, in very different manners.
And I think the night will probably go very different ways, or the group will go very different ways for them, because Berry Van Peer, you've got to say, is the class act of this group in terms of 2023.
149.
And he did open up very strong in that opening game. 93 average, 4 from 8 on the doubles. Scott Taylor,
100.
I don't even think he knows how he got over the line. He didn't score anything in that last leg. Took him
60.
26 starts to win it. And the only reason he had those 26 darts is because Lee Budgeon couldn't convert match darts. He had 9 of them.
85.
Scott Taylor just chipped on in. It really was the tortoise and the hare.
97.
Yeah, and I think Scott Taylor, I mean, you could see he was relieved to get over the line, but he wasn't happy towards the end of that match, and you just wonder if that could
140.
spill over into this one. There's only been 5 legs played since he did stumble past Lee Budgeon.
140. Barrier require
Barry
116.
Van Peer played very well in his win over Sean McDonald.
88. Scotch require
You
155.
can get that lag, absolutely, where it spills into another game.
139.
You feel disappointment
Barrier
in the
require
success
28.
sometimes because it's not what you expect.
Well, that angle might have changed things, and you can see he's had to move across.
14.
Has given himself an
Scotch
open
requires 16.
bed by opening up that angle, but couldn't find it.
Game shot on the first
And
leg.
Taylor can.
Scott Taylor.
Is this the new plan? You can see it in his face. How am I winning these legs? Basically, what
Second
that
leg, Scott
expression
to throw
suggested.
first. Game on.
Of course, he
140.
announced himself into the evening by hitting 6 perfect darts in the second leg he played.
He really did hit the ground running in that match, which makes it all more
140.
surprising that he ended up stumbling over the line after nearly throwing it away.
60.
Well, he did throw it away. He got some very big odds on him. Actually coming back and winning that, Budgeon was miles clear.
85.
To have 9 match darts, and this isn't 9 match darts that is spread across where he gets 1 dart in one leg, 2 in another, and we're just adding them all together. These was consecutive
100.
handfuls.
Still
140.
top of the table, Lee Budgeon, because he followed Paul Nicholson's rule of winning big and losing small. He would
130.
feel like he really did
36.
deserve to and should have maximum points from his first couple of matches.
96. Scotch require 71.
Treble 17 would have left double 10. That leaves double top.
31. Barrier require 40.
The way things have been going, Barry Van Peer will just miss 3 darts at double and Taylor will take it out.
20.
He's got some
Scotch
kind of
require 40.
voodoo victory plan, hasn't he, Scott Taylor?
Game shot on the second leg. Scott
Expertly
Taylor.
called there from Chris Murphy. Seems to be
Third leg,
something
Barry
going
to
the way of
throw
Scott
first.
Taylor.
Game on.
Maybe check his shoes. I think he's trodden in something. How is that ever deemed
105.
lucky?
Yeah, it wasn't lucky at the time, was it?
58. $140.
Better from Berry.
93.
Is Berry's dart, so plenty of importance on this. Can't afford the double break. Well, Scott Taylor.
100.
Say Scott Taylor could be on for a big victory. He was on for that against Lee Budgeon, and it was the finishing line that became the problem.
140.
He's still in this leg.
Barry require 156.
Yeah, he's not going to finish, and Berry has 6 darts from here, but... All right, maybe he's not in this leg anymore.
138.
Going inside there probably makes it more likely. It gives Berry a decision to make. Does he go straight for the double 9? Does he split?
85. Barry require 18.
Straight for it. Now double 4.
10.
It's another miss. It's another bit of
Scotch
fortune
require
for Scott Taylor.
125.
Well, if he takes this out, we might as well hand him the trophy now.
105. Barrier require 8.
Both players 15 darts thrown. This is the advantage you get when you throw first. Got to come
4.
left. He does come left, but he can't go up enough. That is 12 darts.
20.
Barry Van Peer has had in this game at the double. He's not been able to convert any of them.
Game shot in the third leg, Scott Taylor.
And I'm starting to get to the point where becoming lost for words. This is becoming
Fourth leg,
stunning.
Scott to
The
throw
story
first.
continues.
Game on.
Yeah, it just is. Well, he's playing all right himself, Scott Taylor. Let's not take anything away from him in this game.
46.
But from how the previous game ended to how this one's gone, he could easily be on no points
100.
and be 3-0 down in this match. Instead, he's on 2 points and 1 leg away from making it a perfect start to the night.
He's being outscored by Berry, which is why Berry's had all these opportunities.
100.
However, Scott Taylor is taking every chance he's presented. Good match play.
96.
The miserable stat for Barry Van Peer. The dirty dozen for the Dutchman.
45. $105.
This is where 140, 180 is really welcomed as a player when you can hit one of those big
97.
shots that leaves you on a finish. It's always feels very sweet when you're on like a 212 or a 220 and you can hit the big one.
96.
Same on the 310.
Yeah, when you're in the 300s and you end up leaving a finish afterwards, you feel like you're not really in the leg, but suddenly then you are. Van
57.
Peer
Barrier require 104.
looking to get another go at the double. Treble 17. So Taylor can win it in style.
63. Scotch require 156.
Going to need 2 trebles to do that. Won't get the one. So I think that last start there for Barry Van Peer actually not
97.
going in the bullseye is going to be a
Barrier
favour
require
to him.
41.
Because I think a little combination for this will just be a little bit easier than coming up with 3 darts going straight at the target. Because that just gives him a little bit of a distraction.
25.
But it's the same result. Make that
Scotch
14
require 59.
missed starts at the double here for Barry Van Peer in this match.
19.
Well, this time,
Barrier requires 16.
Berry gets another go. Has not been able to hit a double in 14 attempts.
Game
And
shot
finally, he
before
finds it. You could
Barry
see
Van
Scott
Peer.
Taylor behind him shaking his head in disbelief. He was about to be the beneficiary once again
Fifth
of his
leg Berry
opponent
to
missing
throw
bucket loads
first.
of darts at double.
Game on.
16 in total miss before Van Peer finally got a leg in the ledger. And Scott Taylor knows exactly the situation. You can see it written all over his face.
140.
He's going to have to start carving out some of his own opportunities, though, now. We know he's got that game in there. He needs to find it just for
134.
one leg. 9 good scoring darts.
45.
This is a written invitation here from Berry.
58.
Well, this is that position again that you said before. 310
60.
on that occasion. 309 if Taylor can get himself down to a finish. Well, that won't help him do that.
83. $140. 90. Barry require 116.
Pulls him down to a finish. Berry on by far the easier shot of the two. Only 20 points.
100.
But he only
Scotch
needed
require
one treble where Scott's going to need
136.
2. Essentially, the 136 is just as hard as the 156 he
16.
left in the last.
He's found everything difficult in this game, in this department. And it carries
No
on.
score.
This is remarkable.
Scott requires
19
36.
darts missed at double in the game.
Game.
And Scott Taylor
And the match, Scott Taylor.
robs Barry Van Peer. And it's not often you can say that when the scoreline is emphatic as 4-1. But Taylor took his opportunities quite simply. Barry Van Peer didn't. His doubling deserted him. 1 out of 20, just 5%. That tells the whole story of that game. And Scott Taylor knows he's been a lucky boy, but look, he's made the most of that luck. And he's won both of his matches so far. Coming next, Lee Budgeon returns to take on Sean McDonald.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series, where we are midway through our action here on Thursday night at the Live Lounge in Portsmouth. Matthew Edgar is alongside me up here on the balcony to assess what we've seen so far. This is the half-time report as far as Group B is concerned. And, well, it kicked off in perfect fashion, and if you Lee Budgeon.
Absolutely, a 4-0 victory over Fallon Sherrick is some way to start the night, especially when we look at what Fallon Sherrick's been doing this week. She was right at the top of the table in that Group A campaign, only missing out on legs, and a lot of people would have probably had her as one of the favourites coming into this group on the basis of what we've seen in her Group A campaign. So to start off with a 4-0 defeat, she then didn't recover that later on, losing out 4-1 to Sean McDonald. So a lot of work for Fallon to do. But in this Group B, you've always got a little bit of time on your side. So far from out of this.
Are we kind of seeing what we expected, a little bit of a flip-flop from everyone where results are just going to go one way then t'other?
Yeah, and a lot of people are presenting opportunities as well, and no one's really carving out their own at the moment. It's normally coming from someone missing a shot or opening the door in some way, like that last game there. Berry Van Peer, 20 darts missed at the double. It was about 5%, I think, was the checkout percentage. One of the lowest I've ever seen here from one of the players that's come here with some of the best form I've ever seen.
Well, let's have a look then at the table, at the midway point of our evening. Scott Taylor on maximum points, on 4 points, winning that last game out there against Berry Van Peer, but it hasn't been plain sailing for him.
No, he's sort of rode his luck a little bit at times, but he's done what he needed to do. He's been presented opportunities. He's took every single one of the ones he's been presented. So fair play to Scott Taylor, and he'll be more than happy with sitting top of the table at the moment on 4 points. But there's a very long way to go in this. We've only played 2 games. There's 8 games to be played across this campaign, and there are 3 positions available in this group, unlike in other groups where we've got 1 in Group A and 2. So with that, you never really feel out of it with this. And on the same aspect, Scott Taylor certainly won't be feeling safe.
Well, it was that game against Lee Budgeon where he pretty much had to use up each and every one of his 9 lives to get over the line.
It was a bizarre game of darts in terms of how it went. He raced into a lead. We was talking on commentary about who we think could potentially be the weekly winner at the time, and Chris Murphy asked me if I wanted to reconsider on the way that Scott Taylor was playing, and then Lee Budgeon started bringing it back, and that last leg for Scott Taylor, he absolutely nothing. It was a 26 dart leg. Lee Budgeon missed 9 darts, and then Scott Taylor jumped in and took the opportunity. But the hardest one to hit is that match-winning dart, and a game's not over until that goes in, and that's a lesson for everybody.
As for Berry Van Peer, you could kind of see him get visibly frustrated with himself out there tonight so far.
Of course he would have been. I don't think any dart player would have been in that situation that Berry Van Peer was, where you're outscoring your opponent so much to give you those opportunities at the double, but then you just can't hit them. And then you start to think about that, and then you start to think peculiar things, like maybe I'm going to change the double I'm going for. And we saw him throw for many different doubles around the board, and nothing was working for him in that game. It's going to be interesting to see how he recovers from that, because he's going to go back now. He's probably going to talk about that to the other players, and how does he put that right? So that's going to be a little challenge, and I'm really intrigued to see how he handles that one.
As for Fallon Sherrick, what does she need to do to turn her fortunes around come the end of the night?
Win matches. It doesn't matter how, it doesn't matter what the scoreline is. Forget those at the moment. She can worry about that tomorrow. Right now, she just needs some points on the board. Even if it's only 2 points, 1 win would be enough just to keep you competitive, because third place is as good as winning it. The main goal is getting through to Saturday. So on the board, she's got 2 opportunities to do that. That's got to be the key focus.
So to the second half we go here at the Live Lounge at Port. So we kick off with the battle between Lee Budgeon. He takes on Sean McDonald. Watching this one in the commentary box alongside Matt is Chris.
And Lee Budgeon, as Matt was just saying, will be probably still kicking himself a little bit, having let that excellent opportunity fall from his grasp against Scott Taylor, who has carried on riding his luck and making the most of it, and has won both of his matches in this group. Sean McDonald got off the mark when he beat Fallon Sherrick 4-1 in his previous match. Budgeon, the Arrowsmith from Hull, looking to join Taylor at the top of the table. The victory in this one would actually see him move top on leg difference, or even legs won, depending on the margin of victory. As for Sean McDonald, he's looking for a win, but a healthy
First
one
leg
as well,
leading to
considering
first. Game on.
that despite that 4-1 win he had against Sherrick, he also had a 4-0 defeat earlier in the evening
47.
when he played Berry Van Peer. Wasn't missing bucket loads of darts at doubles against Scott. One thing I do want to ask you, Matt, as well, is how can that make a player feel? They have a monitor in the practice room there. Sean McDonald would have been watching as Berry missed all those double
140.
attempts, yet was pretty clinical against him.
Bitter is what people think, and you see it all the time, especially on the tour, when someone will
60.
play well in the opening game and then the opponent will sit and watch their second round game. Oh, he didn't play like that against me, or why isn't he missing all these opportunities like he did against me? There is a very bitterness, but every game is different in its own right, and maybe you've just made them feel a little
58.
bit more comfortable in certain situations. Maybe it's something about the stage presence. But I just want to pause for a brief second, just in case Sean McDonald is watching this back, to say
140.
thank you very much for the jelly babies, Sean McDonald. I was just helping myself to his bag on my way past. Very nice.
You carry on, I'll be back in a minute.
Well, he can't say no, can he? He's on the stage.
59.
I don't think he'll mind if he wins.
Of course, I had to pick out the red one as well.
60.
I'll be looking for a couple of red ones here.
A big game coming up next following this one. Fallon Sherrick taking on Berry Van Peer. Sherrick, of course, trying to pick up her first points of the group, but Berry Van Peer
58.
trying to put right some wrongs from the previous match.
I think what we've got there is two players that are going to come on stage to play each other when really, actually, they're going to be battling themselves
81.
on what's happened so far. Both players have walked off that stage and crossed that yellow line with frustration.
Well, Lee Budgeon has already had 113 checkout tonight. He's already had 108 checkout as well.
58.
He's been the king of the
Leader
combos
113.
at the Super Series this evening. And here comes another one. Just like the other ones.
93.
Can't quite
On
land
your
tops to
wire,
complete that
128.
combination checkout.
Slips low into the fours. So all he can do here is set up his
31.
opportunity and hope that Lee
20.
Budgeon continues
In
missing
front of the
doubles
first
like he did at the
leg,
end of the game
Budgeon.
against Scott Taylor, but that's not going to happen. Lee Budgeon,
Second
1-0
leg
up.
Sean to throw first.
Hold a throw.
Game on.
Never really asked you about Group B before. You talk about the rule of
58.
3 in Group C. What's the sort of points tally or loss tally that you think you're allowed in Group B?
Do you know what? I've never really been
45.
able to get a read on Group B. I think Group C is a little bit easier to get a read on, but Group B, I've seen people go through with like 6 points. I've also seen people miss out with that sort of tally. It doesn't really have sort of any base. I mean, 8 points should
140.
pretty much be enough.
Yeah, there's people who have missed out on 8 points as well. There are a couple of things that can happen. One is that the leader can run away and the rest of the
60.
players are battling it out, and then therefore a lower tally is often enough. Is also where one player falls away at the bottom and then it's a high tally can miss out.
Well, what you could have there is you could have one player winning all their games at the top, one player at the bottom losing all their games, and that's when the
136.
middle 3 players play for those 2 that you get that weird split. It's such a weird dynamic, Group B.
I always remember there was a week when Paul Nicholson was playing. He was in
80.
Group B. He was
Stronger
struggling.
for 160.
I think he was on 2 points for quite a long time, but the 2 players in front of him weren't winning either. And I felt that he actually hadn't realised that he still had a good opportunity because he was so frustrated with the level of play
139.
rather than looking at the group. Someone who sits here in the commentary box and would have seen that happen often. Sometimes there can be little backdoor opportunities in
60.
this group, and who knows what
Junior
can happen
War
when you get
28.
to finals night. In fact, mention that Sean McDonald, who's looking at double 14
Game
and
on the second
hitting it
leg,
here for a
Sean
brilliant
McDonald.
13-dart leg, well, he lost on finals night to Mike Gillett, who snuck
Third leg
through
lead
the
to
Group B
throw
in similar
first.
fashion.
Game on.
Went on to win the week.
When you talk about Paul Nicholson and the fact he's sat in this chair and said a lot of things and knows the formats and the structure and the ifs, the buts, the whys, etc.
123.
I get it. In the fact that when he went in there, he thought very differently, because I can vouch for that 100%. You know, I can tell you I've said things while sat in this commentary chair, and I've gone in there and done the absolute complete
134.
opposite. I mean, the classic case being, I've always said the main thing. I've just said it now on the balcony. The main thing is just getting the top 3. It doesn't matter where you
85.
finish. As soon as I went in that practice room, the only thing that mattered to me was finishing top. Have you got any idea how that group finished? It was Series 3, Week 12.
I'll get back to you on that.
57.
Got to have me moment. I don't win that much.
I was just looking at the week that Sean McDonald got through, actually, and we had a situation where he and Cam Crabtree both only lost 2
59.
matches. So Mike Gillett and Arian Conterman then battled it out for 3rd and 4th place. Then ADC qualifier Jack Hill got no points, so Conterman did miss out on 8 points that week, and he missed out on 8 points
60.
with a 0 leg difference as well. It wasn't even like he had a big minus leg difference.
$80.
I'll tell you what, just to
60.
give you what you want,
154.
why don't you just tell us what happened that week? Tell us after this checkout. Tell us now.
I'm not sure I can remember. Can you remember it
94.
fully? I'm trying to get you to say it. I've tried 3 times now.
For some reason, every time I try, the words just won't come out of my mouth.
$140.
Good shot from Sean McDonald.
60.
Puts the urgency on this situation for Lee Budgeon.
50. Sean, you require 50.
This 140. You sort of feel Sean McDonald's earned this opportunity.
Game shot.
He's so clinical, isn't he, when he gets the opportunity on these small combination shots. He mops up again there.
4th leg Sean to throw
McDonald
first.
breaks
Game
the
on.
throw of Lee Budgeon. And when you take a look at the averages and the stats, they do guide you in that direction. Lee Budgeon down at a 75. McDonald's broke the 83 barrier, so
51.
average-wise, what that means is he's using a throw less.
$27.
I haven't quite seen from Sean McDonald the level that he produced last time. But if I
96.
remember rightly, I know he only lost a couple of matches, but he was much, much better as the week went on. He was only here for 3 nights, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
140.
Looked a little bit sort of rusty on the Thursday night, really good on the Friday, and looked very much like the man who was going to take the title on Saturday until that semi-final defeat.
And that doesn't surprise me after I eavesdropped in on his interview earlier with Henry Deacon. And he was speaking about how
140.
sometimes he can go, depending on his work commitments, 2-3 weeks without really getting the darts out as such.
140.
Just to put everybody out of their misery and make Matt's day, week, month, maybe even year, that week that he referred to, Richie Parkin finished bottom of the group. Scott Mitchell finished
58.
4th and didn't qualify, but another Modus Super Series commentator topped the group, himself only losing 2 matches. And that was the man sitting alongside me.
80.
Oh, I didn't
Sean, you
realise.
require 156.
I was surprised. I'm still surprised, to be fair.
I think I was as well at the time.
Andreas Harrison and Jim McEwen going through. You had that uniform group, didn't you?
100.
12, 10, 8,
You
6,
require
4 in
114.
terms of the points tally. A little laugh from Lee Budgeon there. because he knows it was a decently
70.
thrown dart, it's just the wrong side of the
Only
wire.
require
But it's
56.
given Sean McDonald an opportunity to stretch his lead in this match.
$36.
Just when I was praising him in the
Only
last leg
require
for
44.
mopping all those opportunities up, he misses one of the big ones, but that's a big number miss from Budgeon. Double 16 to clean it up.
Shot on the fourth leg.
Good
Lee
composure
Budgeon.
there. Didn't get rattled by the missed big number. Just cleans
Fifth
it up
leg lead
nicely.
to throw first.
3 double
Game
16.
on.
Gets the breaker throw back. Advantage. It's back with Lee Budgeon.
A 4-0
43.
win for Lee Budgeon in his opener, and then a 4-3 defeat in his second game. The win against Sherrock, the defeat against Scott Taylor, as we mentioned at the start of this match, a match he really should have won. 9 missed starts to do so. Sean McDonald
46.
beaten 4-1 in his opener by Berry Van Peer, but then won 4-1 against Sherrock in his second game. Sherrock and Van Peer will
82.
battle it out in the next match before McDonald finishes his evening's work with a tussle with Taylor in game 8. Van Peer Budge in game 9. Taylor Sherrock brings an end to the night's action.
140.
I think the one other thing in this group is that
42.
even if you have the horror start, Alan Norris this afternoon lost all 5 of his matches, you still feel you've got a chance of putting it right the next night.
Well, you still got the chance, haven't you? Where in Group C you don't have that opportunity. And
57.
my mind always goes to one example because it was an example of a group I was involved with when we was in the old venue about a year ago now, actually, in Southampton. It was David Pallett.
45.
He did exactly that situation. He lost all 4 games on the opening day, then he won all 4 matches, and he got through.
Yeah, 8 points so often is enough, and as we've been saying, 6 is sometimes enough as well. So even winning 3 might be enough, depending on the margin of those defeats and then the margin of the victory the
140.
next night. Nobody will be panicking just yet in this group.
134.
Chris Mason always
Sean
says if you win half of your matches from the
118.
first night, you're in a very strong position.
Yeah, just mentioned to Henry that Fallon could just get 1 win on the board tonight. He'll still give her that opportunity. Well, it's double 19 here for
Game
Shawnee
on the
Mack.
flag, Sean
And there's that
McDonald.
combination finishing I was saying that is so strong for him. His first tumpless finish of the week
6
so
leg Sean
far.
to throw first.
And it could be
Game
at the
on.
most important time. He's got that breaker throw advantage back. And this is an opportunity to move himself onto 4 points.
Yeah, there's a big gap between the pair.
96.
A 76 average can beat an 88 average, but very rare. But those kind of numbers, which will have just changed dramatically with one visit for Lee
180.
Budgeon. But those kind of numbers, it's about the limit, isn't it? I think higher up, say if you've got someone averaging 115, someone could beat them on 100, but the lower it gets, the smaller the deficit can be. And that's an excellent response from Sean McDonald.
Well, it can happen, but it has to happen through a mistake, such as 3 missed starts at a double, and you've already got
43.
the average on the board, and then the 3 missed starts provide the opportunity.
Well, that 180 from him actually takes his average near 92 in what he hopes is the last leg of this match.
58.
Interesting that he went for the 18s there. Budgeon isn't now going to leave a finish.
93.
So McDonald probably won't go for this
167.
if the opportunity is presented. Well, my guess is he'll just stay there.
He's got one job in mind, hasn't he?
97.
Win this game of darts. Nothing flashy, no theatrics. It might.
145.
A bit of urgency here. That 63 can be awkward.
Check, sorry, last score was 122.
It's a little correction
Maguire,
from our referee,
70.
Danny McNamara, as the darts were retrieved. I'm not sure if it was Budgeon himself who made it known, but the right thing was recorded in the end. And it might be completely immaterial anyway, because McDonald is going to get a match dart here. Oh, well, he's not going to get a match start. What on earth
38.
happened there?
Lee requires 63.
Well, this is a shot that numbers-wise doesn't look too hard, but unless he gets a treble, if he doesn't, it will only be the one dart at the double.
To save his skin.
Game on the sixth
Been
leg.
pretty good, you know, with
Budgeon.
one dart at a double. Lee Budgeon. And now he has the darts. And that one
Seventh and final leg
disastrous
lead
dart
to throw
from
first.
Sean McDonald.
Game on.
Pretty much all he's done wrong in this match. And it's cost him dearly. Just needed a single 20 to tee up the finish, and instead he ended up tossing the dart high over the top, not hitting anything at all.
I thought we was going to get a repeat of the World Cup
42.
there when Lee Budgeon was walking back and walking back. The match tonight with the Republic of Ireland, William O'Connor got bumped into a couple of times. He didn't take it too kindly. It was that situation. It's a bad dart. He walked back and boom. Have a bit of that, Willie.
I don't know who are making the right there. Willie
57.
can see him coming. He can't see where he is.
I think in Willie's defence, though, he was outside the exclusion zone, so I suppose he can move anywhere he wants inside that zone, but
140.
he was sort of walking backwards into it. It's one of my sort of pet hates, that as well, when you're walking down the street, people walking one way and looking the other, or looking down at the phone. So I'm in Team Willie on that one.
140.
This is all about the 2 points on the third lap of fixtures.
41.
That could be the opportunity. That could be the mistake that gets punished by the Punisher.
$140.
Right on cue. His 8th 140 of the match. Doesn't let many
100.
opportunities pass him
Daniel
by.
Var 164.
You give him a chance, he will gobble your hands off.
$92.
Well, Budgeon can try and put himself in a position to just pressurise McDonald, and considering what happened at the end of the previous leg, the pressure could get to him.
85.
Not sure
Johnny
that's
Roy
enough.
72.
It's a similar position to what he was in the previous leg. If this first starts a single, it'll be another single to a double. Staying there. No, he's gone for 12. For tops.
Game.
Well, he's
shot.
found a way. I thought
And
he
a
might have
match,
moved because
Sean
there might have been a
McDonald.
bit of a blocker on that tops. But he gets there in the end, and it's a second successive match that Lee Budgeon has gone down 4-3. When you look at the stats, Sean McDonald was good value for it. Should have had a match start earlier. 4 out of 6 on the doubles. That's impressive. A 118 in there as well, and an average north of 90. He's just got one match left to play. That's in a couple of games' time. But next up, it's Barry Van Peer against Fallon Sherrock.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series. There before the break, Sean McDonald beat Lee Budgeon in a last leg decider by 4 legs to 3. So that means he now moves on to 4 points himself in the top 2 positions as far as the league table is concerned. Right, next up for us, it's Fallon Sherritt up against Berry Van Peer, the heavyweight battle in the group. And this was a battle for Group A supremacy on Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday. But these two currently occupy the bottom 2 spots. Fallon looking for her first win. Berry could join that pack on 4 with a win in this one. Watching this one, Chris and Matt.
Thanks, Henry. Yeah, and it's a good point that Henry's just made there. This pair were really duking it out at the top end of Group A earlier in the week, and now they find themselves, although it's in the early stages, at the bottom end of Group B. It just goes to show getting into Group B, and we talk about the advantages of
First leg,
that,
Fallon to throw
doesn't
first.
give you any guarantee that you're
Game
going to
on.
get through it. It is that kind of group where
45.
we've seen some players. I mean, the one that I spoke about before with the guy that tied on 8 points and didn't get through was
58.
Ian Conterman, and he'd missed darts to win Group A on his week. So this pair, I mean, it's looking likely, isn't it, already, that maybe one of these might
90.
miss out, despite looking like potential Group A winners earlier in the week.
Yeah, Berry's been the favourite pretty much all
83.
week in terms of winning the groups. You're never really out of it on day one,
60.
so the panic button won't be pressed, but there'll certainly be an element of hurry up.
85.
Berry's already got a couple of points on the board. Fallon still on 0. You feel like this is bigger for Fallon than it is for Berry in terms of overall qualification.
171.
Excellent setup, that. A reminder of what she's capable of. The 171.
130. Fallon require
Here's the 135.
135.
She'll start on the bullseye. And she's left it pretty open. Oh, absolutely divine darts
Fallon Sherritt.
from Fallon Sherritt. She laid down a marker alongside the ball and used it perfectly
Second leg Berry to
for a
throw
135
first. Game on.
finish. And that's 306 points gone in 6 darts.
Add that to the tally, because she's been hitting them all week.
190.
A 152, 2 124s, a 104, a 130, a 146,
95.
and now a 135.
For a 15 darter as well. Berry Van Peer looking to respond.
100.
Strong start for him. Man who's had a magical 2023.
190.
About 20 minutes ago, I stood on the balcony with Henry, and I said that this match is
85.
coming up, and it's going to be really interesting to see how both these players respond, because they both had major setbacks so far. Fallon Sherritt's only won 1 leg so far today. She's been pumped
59.
4-0 and
Berry
4-1.
136.
Berry Van Peer in his last match, 20 darts at the double, only converted 1.
128. Fallon require 167.
Could she? Well, she threatened it with the first dart, but Van Peer wants
139.
to answer a 15 darter with the 13 darter. And let's not forget all the darts he missed at double in the previous match. He'll want to put that right sooner rather than later. And he hasn't.
Fallon, you require 28.
He'll be wondering what's going on today when he comes down to those doubles.
There was 1
Game shot the
out of
second leg.
20
Fallon
in the last
Sherritt.
match. He's 9 out of 3 in this one. And Fallon Sherritt takes full advantage.
Third
And
leg
she's
Fallon
actually
to throw
bettered
first. Game on.
that previous leg.
The demons will be rearing their heads in the head of Berry Van Peer right now. Fallon Sherritt's not making this any easier.
190.
A second maximum of this game pumps her average up to 110.
43.
Well, she's certainly finding a range on that red bit, that's for sure.
100. $96.
We said on the bigger scale,
91.
didn't we, earlier on, that whenever people are given reason or opportunity to write her off, she always comes up with something.
60.
She's doing that on a smaller scale
Fouling
this
require
evening.
130.
Languish at the bottom of the group with no points and then suddenly produces a performance like this.
I think if anyone was writing her off, though, it'd probably been of herself, because the demeanour in those opening games was one of a
94.
bit of dejection.
She has sustained 110 average for a full match before her record came on the Challenge Tour in 2020. 110.3 in a 5-1 win over Perry Davenport.
Game shot in the third leg.
She's going to be
Sherrock.
well over 100 if she completes another leg in
Fourth leg Berry to
5
throw
visits
first.
here. That's
Game on.
3 legs completed in 14 or 15 darts by Fallon Sherrock to leave Berry Vampire really without many opportunities
99.
in a contrast to his previous match.
We've only seen 100 average twice so far this week.
190.
It looks like we're on course to see it again.
96.
Highest average on record for any woman is 113.43. Fallon Sherrock earlier this year became the first woman to hit a 9-dart finish in a PDC tournament. No female player has ever
96. Fallon
done it on TV.
41.
Yet. She was 7 in. A great effort there from Fallon Sherrock. That would have been a fantastic way to end what has been a,
89.
what's got to be said, a faultless performance here from Fallon Sherrock.
Yeah, absolutely sensational. 15 darter, 14 darter, followed by another.
134. Fallon require
And then she
52.
goes 6 perfect darts. 4 180s hit in this match. Double top to complete. An astonishing win.
12.
She's not there yet.
Berry requires 76.
Berry will be wondering what's happening to him in this game. It's not like he's played bad. An average of nearly 95.
Game
And
shot in the fourth leg,
finally,
Berry Vampire.
Berry Vampire hits a double to win a leg. An ironic raise of the eyebrow, but let's go
Fifth leg
back to what we
Fallon
said
to
earlier
throw
on.
first.
How many
Game
times do players get on the 9-dart finish and can't convert the leg?
100.
The leg she lost in this match was the one in which she started with a brace of maximums.
96.
She's hit 4 of them in the game. Absolutely stunning display of scoring from Fallon Sherrock in this match.
97.
Still averaging way over 100. 106.28 as well.
96. 43.
It does make you wonder, though, if the
139.
9-dart attempt may have just took a little bit of the intensity out of Fallon. Just maybe gave her a little bit of a distraction. But not in the
91.
positive
Berry
sense.
require 170.
Well, both players on the big finish. It would be a fitting way for Fallon Sherrock to go out in this match.
84. Fallon
Couldn't
require
produce
170.
The perfect leg, but maybe she can produce a perfect finish. Not far away, but it's far enough away that the shot is off.
83. Berry require 86.
He was staring down the
Game
barrel
shot
of a
fifth
4-0
leg, Berry
defeat.
Vampire.
And all of a sudden, he's crawling this one back. That was a breaker throw. Fallon has work to do here.
6 leg Berry
There's one thing
to
Berry
throw
Vampire
first.
knows in 2023
Game
is
on.
how to win darts matches.
Well, moments ago, we were
59.
pondering at the prospect of a historic moment, another historic moment for Fallon Sherrock. We were
140.
talking about the possibility of a potential record-breaking average at a PB.
90.
Now, start to question whether or not she'll still win the game.
60.
We could be looking at
58.
arguably the best two performances of the evening coming in the same match from the two players that seem to be struggling the most.
59.
I think that's one of the things that we get very guilty of here at the Super Series, just looking at that very short-term form rather than the bigger, broader picture.
100.
The bigger, broader picture. As you said at the start of the show, Berry Van Peer right now is one of the best players on planet Earth that do not hold a PDC tour card.
140. Barrier require 106.
Looking to tie this one up, having trailed it 3-0. Double 16.
Game shot on the sixth
As
leg.
quick as a flash. Berry Van Peer has forced the deciding leg. Fallon Sherrick still averaging 101.6.
Seventh and final leg, Fallon to throw
So
first.
basically
Game on.
exactly the same as her best on TV. She produced that against Mike D. Decker in the Grand Slam back in 2021 when
100.
she had that fantastic run to the quarterfinals.
And you always look for what was the turning point in the game, where
91.
it was actually on the back of a 9-dart leg attempt.
$100.
And she missed the 8th dart in pursuit of perfection.
He did get 2 match darts in
100.
that leg, 2 darts at tops. Wasn't able to convert them. The game continued, and it's all been about Berry from that moment. Fallon not really been able to land a significant blow
57.
despite throwing decent darts.
Still rather be the one with the throw in the decider.
60.
Or would you, offer the question to you, would you rather have the throw or the mow?
Oh, you definitely want the throw in the last leg.
100.
However, ironically, you don't want it in the first. Many times I've given that away.
100. Fallon, you require 144.
Well, they've just gone with each other in this leg, which means that the throw certainly is going to be an advantage.
$104. Barrier require
That's nicely set up,
150.
forcing Van Peer to take out something special if he is to win this special game.
134. Fallon, you require
2 match
40.
darts have been and gone. It was at this target. There's a handful of darts now to wrap this one up.
Game, shot,
And in a
and
game
match,
that she raced into a
Fallon
3-0 lead in, she nearly tretters to a historic 9-dart leg. Berry Van Peer brought it back to 3 apiece, but Fallon Sherrick gets over the line, holds it all together, and wraps it up with a 17-dart leg. A good game of darts, nonetheless. Coming next, Sean McDonald, Scott Taylor.
Right, so I've got 30 seconds to describe that last game, which was absolutely bonkers. Fallon Sherritt kicked off with a 1-3-5 finish. She then went into a 3-0 lead. She was averaging in the 110s by that point, and then was 7 darts into the 9-dart leg. She then, in that leg, missed a couple of match darts at tops, and then Berry Van Peer came back. He had the opportunity to win the game himself, but Fallon Sherritt getting over the line by 4 legs to 3. That now means everybody's on the board in terms of the group. There we go. 3 players sandwiched on 2 points, and a couple on 4. Right, next up for us, it is Sean McDonald and Scott Taylor, the 2 players on 4 that go toe-to-toe. The victor will go top of the table. And after all that, let's hand over to Matt and Chris.
Yeah, you have a little rest, Henry. Well summed up, and we were indeed 2 darts away from history. Fallon Sherritt, a woman who just keeps making history. And maybe yet we will see the first female to hit a 9-darter here at the Super Series. Maybe her, maybe Lisa Ashton, who played last week and came pretty close to making it to finals night from Bolton, just like Scott Taylor is. He takes on the Aberdeen Arrows ace, Sean McDonald, who is playing in his very last match of the night. One of those 2 players on 4 points. The other one happens to be his opponent, but I almost feel like disrespectful for labouring this point, but I'll just put a simple question to you, Matt. How? How is he on 4 points?
First leg,
Because
Sean
no one's
to
got the
Throwers.
formula to beat
Game
Scott
on.
Taylor. They've got the formula to have the opportunities to beat Scott Taylor, but they don't know how to convert against this man. I don't think he's going to get that luxury, though, from Sean McDonald. Sean McDonald strikes me as the guy that just doesn't
64.
care for reputation. Doesn't care what the situation is. He only looks at what he's doing himself. So if Scott Taylor is to win this match,
57.
it's going to have to be down to his own brilliance rather than the mistakes of Sean McDonald.
Taylor still will have the opportunity to go through the card tonight. Last outing for McDonald, but the penultimate match for Taylor, who will play
96.
the last match against Sherrick, with Berry Van Peer versus Lee Budgeon sandwiched in between. Meaning one of those
50.
players will finish on 4 points. One of these players will finish this match on 6 points.
$96. 100. 96.
McDonald down to a finish first. Taylor needs a couple of trebles to join him. Has looked a little bit erratic
85.
tonight. Again, talking
Sean
about players who won both his
York,
matches, but there's been a lot of
149.
sort of bit of a loss of control in the throw at times. Many wayward darts.
He does have quite a soft grip and it's quite peculiar in terms of the position of the barrel. So, yeah, he does need to be very firm with the action in order to
57.
get that proper delivery of the dart, get that release right.
What he is pretty good at is that kind of adjustment.
95.
When the dart's
On
in
your
and
one,
around the treble
92.
20, often he'll find it useful to follow that line. He's going to leave tops here.
52.
Scott
Scott
Taylor
O'Hara,
can once again
106.
swoop in.
$90.
Almost did as well.
Sean York, 40.
Don't know if he has a nickname, Scott Taylor, but on tonight's evidence, maybe he should be called the Seagull.
Game shot on the first leg, Sean McDonald.
That dart perched in tops, and Sean McDonald may be perched
Second leg, Scott
at
to
the top of the
Throwers.
table
Game
following
on.
this fixture.
Yeah, I can't
82.
find a nickname on Scott Taylor. other than the fact he was born and still lives in Bolton.
And many a famous son from that part of the world.
96.
Just going back to what we almost just witnessed with Fallon Sherrick's 9 dart attempt, do you think it's something that is pretty much around the corner, a woman to produce one on the telly?
It's inevitable, isn't it? And I think now we've seen Fallon do that on the Challenge Tour as well, and we're seeing the talent on show from Bo Greaves, who, for me, if we're looking at a female player being someone who's going to break through into the overall game of darts, shall we say, in terms of the elite levels and those tour card positions, I think she's someone who could genuinely go and get a tour card, but also keep it. And by keeping it, reach the top 64.
99.
It's a big call. Would like to see her play at the Super Series at some point. If you're watching, Bo, get in touch. I'm sure we can facilitate.
24.
But I think also, Bo Greaves is young enough to play on the development tour still. I think that's a route for her at the moment. This year, she could win titles on the development tour.
Absolutely. That is the next step for her. I know, especially around the World Championship, there's a lot of people suggesting going to Q School. I think that's completely
57.
counterproductive to the development and the career of Bo Greaves. 100% with you. Development tour. I'm surprised she's not doing that already.
129. Sean, you require 153.
Well, a big one on offer for McDonald. Takes the first bite into the Big Mac finish.
117. Scott, you require
He can't
35.
quite finish it off.
Come on, he says. Recomposes. Settles himself down. Knows this is a big moment.
Leg, Scott
And he gave that the full Kevin Painter. Or nowadays, do we say the full Rob Cross?
Third leg, Sean,
Yeah,
to
step back to
Throfers.
recompose.
Game
And
on.
players who sort of do play at a fast rhythm like Scott Taylor, almost a bit of a gamble when they do it, but proved to be the right thing there.
58.
Does have this preference for double 12. He's at very much that sort of Gerwin Price route, isn't he? Tops 10s and 12s.
140. $119. 58.
Plays with so much focus and determination. He said this is sort
100.
of his escape. The thing that he does to sort of enjoy and unwind from the rigours of his work and his profession. Very proud in his field,
95.
as you'll find out over the next couple of days. But for him, this is a pastime. This is a hobby.
140.
That what he tells the tax man. Was Phil Taylor who said that, wasn't he? Anyone who says that darts isn't a sport, then get in touch with HMRC
60.
because if it's a pastime, we don't have to
John
pay tax on
Warner,
it.
84.
Well, 14 would leave the bull.
59.
So in that kind of range where actually the
148.
stats say you're better off not going for it. Where do you stand on that? I don't think we've had that conversation.
Yeah, I think a lot of it depends on situations, and
92.
how things are
John
at the
O'Connor,
time.
25.
The reason they say that is because they're so unlikely to take out a finish like 148. You're likely to hit the 25, and then instead of coming back with 3 darts at double, you only get 2.
Game shot on the third
But if
leg,
you only need
Sean
1,
McDonald.
then it's kind of immaterial.
I mean, sometimes you can even play a bit of a
Fourth leg Scott
ploy on
to
that one,
throw
because
first. Game on.
sometimes you can go for the single to leave the double. And
55.
it's almost saying, if you're good enough, it presents them the opportunity to come on that 148. And how many times do we see like a facial reaction of the player when they miss that dart? That, oh, I really want to hit that. Because it's a message without actually saying it. It's
47.
like a sign language message to say, I don't think you're good enough to do that.
Yeah, the Michael van Gerwen
77.
approach seems to be to go for it, go for the bullseye if your opponent's not on a finish, and lay up if they are. Just finding 2 ways to rub salt into the wound.
And you think, I remember playing Michael van Gerwen in a Players' Championship quarterfinals, and he left me on
48.
167, and I took it. And I thought, I bet he don't do that again. And then I was left 170, and he did it again. He just laid it up and goes, have another go.
I suppose that's the way to play it. If you're going to do that, it is a percentage shot, so over a longer
96.
period of time, then the average should work out in your favour. But yeah, you're right. Some people get the fingers burnt once and never ever do it again.
Did it the very next leg.
134. $63.
I was trying to score 103 there, hence that route, Scott Taylor. Going that way is almost like that's the maximum he was going to score, really. It's a slightly defensive shot.
100.
Most players would start on the 19s. But Sean McDonald should have been going for the bullseye segment with his last start then. Would have been on a finish. Would have been on that 167 that you just mentioned.
96.
Yeah, he didn't account for the extra 5 points that would have came his way.
It offers Scott Taylor an opportunity. The 114.
134. Scott O'Connor, 114.
What a shot, though, there from Sean McDonald. He asked the question of Scott Taylor.
74.
Didn't have the answer. It was a good
Johnny
attempt.
O'Connor, 38.
But a little bit of air on that last start. And it's the north to the south.
Might be able to use it. Just brush it into the side. That's what he was trying to do. But now he really has blocked himself. Going to recycle an old Wayne Mardle term here. He's darted himself.
19.
Because he had to change everything. Where he
Scott
stood, the
O'Connor,
weight of the dart,
40.
the line.
And as a player, I can tell you now, Scott Taylor would have been stood behind and go, oh, here we go. Because it
Games on the
happens quite
fourth leg,
often where you
Scott
look at it and you
Taylor.
see that the double is completely covered and the player goes and asks the referee to move out the way so they can throw
Fifth
over
leg
from by the
Sean to
wall.
throw
And it
first.
somehow
Game
goes
on.
in.
I remember a few years ago there was a debate raging about whether the oki should be curved in darts.
119.
Yeah, I get that. Because obviously you're getting further away because the angle grows. It should realistically be
93.
7, 9 and a quarter from wherever you're throwing from. But at the same aspect, that curve would start even with a Nokia of that size.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because a lot of players don't stand right in the
85.
middle, so if they brought in such a thing now, they'd end up having to sort of not touch the oki if they wanted to throw from the exact same position, or
40.
would find themselves throwing closer than they currently are. McDonald is one of those players who stands pretty much central.
Yeah, I think the curved Oki idea
45.
came from those very traditional overthinkers who want to overcomplicate all the most simple solutions in life.
Well, there was one thing that the WDF put in at their
140.
World Championship was an extra line So the hockey was raised, but then there was another line that went further to eliminate a situation where a player who did have to move really wide actually
41.
overstepping the hockey. Remember Mervyn King getting a little bit upset with Rob Cross at a tournament for, well, as Merv saw it, being in front of the hockey when he moved to the side.
100.
Remember the one at Bridlington? Scotty Waits wasn't too happy with Parletti. Thought he was stepping past the mark.
I think that was a tournament where there wasn't a
99.
raised hockey at all. It
Soldier
wasn't
War
like he was actually stepping to the
128.
side to get past it. He was just going over the line. All little strange things that happen
63.
and reasons for things being
Sean
brought in.
Robar 112.
The exclusion zone being one of them we could talk about. But right now, we need to talk about Sean McDonald and 112. Now, if he feels blocked, he could go for the treble 18. And he did clatter into that dart. It's a very underutilised route, the treble 18, when you've blocked
Soldier War
the
65.
treble 20. And it's tops for Taylor. 2 at it. Becomes 1 at 10s.
Game John the fifth
And Scott
leg.
Taylor
Scott
finds
Taylor.
himself in front and still on course for a clean sweep tonight.
Six legs.
Just going
Scott
back to that.
throw first.
Being one of the
Game
people
on.
that's a bit of an overthinker and sort of coming up with weird solutions to things. I actually came up with a really good solution for you, didn't I, earlier, Chris? I came up with a really good suggestion while you was having your dinner.
He did
100.
actually, yeah, and it's quite apt that Sean is on the stage at the moment because it was involving a burger and some nuggets. Matt's suggestion was to put the nuggets in the burger.
96.
I'm very surprised you didn't. It would have been a beef and chicken burger at the same time. Social media is going to explode now with that
140.
amazing suggestion. Everyone's going to be running down to their local restaurants thinking, why haven't I thought of this before? Put the nuggets in with the beef.
Might be on the menu soon.
100.
If I'd get royalties, maybe it'd be like the Muck Edgar.
So from one McDonald to another. Sean looking to stay in this
81.
one. '18s probably. Now a couple of treble 20s. Otherwise, Taylor's going to have half a dozen darts to wrap this up.
98.
He's thinking 140.
95.
It works out okay, but it does give some hope to Sean McDonald.
Tell you what he'll be thinking right now. He's going to be thinking, take this 85, stay undefeated,
99.
and then he's going to think,
Scott Robar
I hope I booked the
85.
hotel for Saturday night.
Yeah, Fallon Sherrick in his final match. Needs the ball.
47. Sean, you require
Went a little bit
108.
wrong in that one. And Shawnee Mack will get a go. Double 16. Oh, what a
Game
finish
John the
that
sixth
is.
leg, Sean McDonald.
Really under pressure. Really needed to take it. And when it came to the crunch,
Seventh and final leg, Sean
McDonald
to throw first. Game on.
came up with the goods. You did say at the start of the match that Taylor would not be afforded
85.
the same luxuries he's had in the last couple of games against Sean McDonald. We've seen an example of it there.
Which means that Scott Taylor's going to need to
49.
find something big in this leg. The last time he was in this situation, he won. But it wasn't down to his brilliance. It was down to the opportunities that was presented. And a little bit of crucial timing.
140.
This is going to be a completely different situation.
$140.
The advantage of throw is being utilised perfectly here from Sean McDonald.
135.
He leaves himself the 1-4-1, the finish that Alan Sherrick not too long ago
59.
was looking at for a
Sean, you're
9-darter.
141.
We've got a couple of goes at it. And he will use them.
65.
When he gets to this point in legs, he does get very businesslike with his roots, doesn't he? The man you could not accuse of being anything but focused
99.
at any time in a darts match.
Sean, you require 76.
Just get the feeling at the end of legs that he'll take care of it.
There's nothing flashy about it, but it's so effective. It's 1 dart at tops.
36.
So if Scott
Scott
Taylor is to stay
Roy,
undefeated, you feel this is going to
154.
have to go. McDonald doesn't mess around on the outer ring. Going to need to find 2 trebles.
He's got 2 trebles. Double top.
134.
Great attempt. But maybe
Sean, you require
Maybe.
40.
his luck has run out. You can see, yeah, he's giving it everything in the background there. Well, McDonald remains a picture of concentration. Zones in on the target. He's just seen his opponent miss for the match. Fails to find it. Double 10.
Game.
And
Shot.
he nails it
And
last
a
start in
Sean
hand. And in
McDonald.
doing so, ends Scott Taylor's hopes of an unbeaten night. But he will return at the end of the evening to face Fallon Sherrock in a bid to try and join Scott McDonald on 6 points. That is his haul for the first night of action in Group B. 3 wins from 4. That 108 clutch checkout, real big difference, deciding factor in that match. And then after Taylor missed tops for the 154, McDonald went out and gets over the line. As I said, Taylor back to face Sherrock in the final match, but first, Berry Van Peer will take on Lee Budgeon.
Welcome back to the Super Series, where before the break, Sean McDonald rounded his night off with a 4-3 success against Scott Taylor. In fact, our last 3 matches have all gone the distance. Right, next up for us, Barry Van Peer and Lee Budgeon are rounding off their respective evenings. And the winner of their final game will move on to 4 points. Here's Chris and Matt.
Yep, Sean McDonald has moved on to 6. And as Henry rightly says, one of this pair will move within 2 and level with Scott Taylor, but he does have to take on Fallon Sherrock. It could be a very interesting matchup, that one. But we've got the business of Budge and Barry Van Peer first, the Challenge Tour event winner against a man who looks like he's going to win the whole Challenge Tour.
First leg, Barry
2023,
to
Barry
throw
Van
first.
Peer, and return to the Pro Tour
Game
next
on.
year. Danny McNamara gets proceedings underway.
Yeah, I don't think you was here, was you, earlier in the week when I made that big, bold prediction? I'll let you know what
40.
it was. I was making a prediction that I think Barry Van Peer will win one of the 2 tour cards from the Challenge Tour, and I think he'll also get that World Championship spot.
42.
Yeah, I think that's well, not your biggest or your boldest, but
91.
it is good to see. And I think, you know, we've got past the point of talking about it so often. Every time you'd see Barry Van Peer, you would talk about the struggles he had with dartitis so visibly. He all unfolded in front of everybody's eyes at the Grand Slam.
95.
When he actually got through the group, despite those darting demons. But now we're just so used to seeing him play like this,
100.
with freedom and with real quality.
One 180.
180 from Lee Budgeon. It's not been his biggest tally tonight, just the 1.
85.
Just the 1 in the wins column as well. That was his opening game, a 4-0 victory over Fallon Sherrock.
123.
Makes you wonder if, when that game comes around tomorrow, how much importance that may have on it. When you look at how the fixtures are working and how it's breaking down at the moment.
122. Lee requires 61.
Options here. Double top,
21.
over the top, so Van Peer.
Barry requires 63.
Well, most players these days are treble 13 merchants on this particular checkout. Basically, the same things happen on a different finish to his
28.
opponent, and the
Lee
same outcome in the
requires
end.
40.
The leg not won, and Budgeon can break. Double 10. Double 5.
Game
And the
from
leg
the
goes
first
the
leg,
way of the
Lee
Humberside
Budgeon.
man. A break by Budgeon. Barry Van Peer, who was
Second leg lead to throw first.
favourite
Game on.
with the bookies at the start of the week. He was a big fancy for Group A. Could actually find himself finishing bottom of Group B after the first night if he loses this game.
119.
Fallon Sherrock gets the result in her last match.
Could find himself in big, big bother if Fallon Sherrock was to win her game as well, because there'll be plenty of players ahead of him. Well, everyone will be ahead of him,
60.
and ahead of him on points as well.
$92.
And she was beaten 4-0 by Budgeon in her opener. And then 4-1. It looked catastrophic for Fallon Sherrock at
96.
the halfway stage, but she put in that sensational display against Van Peer. Led him 3-0. He got back into it. Well, she finally
Picked
up the points.
180.
and Lee Budgeon. Are we seeing the kind of opposite thing happen to Barry Van Peer as to what's happened to
140.
Scott Taylor tonight? Now all of the
110.
opponents are producing their best game against him.
Well, they'll all be aware coming into the room at the start of the day that Barry Van Peer is one of the players to beat. He is rightly so one of the
42.
best players in the world at the moment without a tour card right now. I'd probably put him in a list of 3. But he's just not
100.
producing that
requires
level here this week
68.
so far.
I was looking at treble 12.
54.
Well, that would have been a really unorthodox outshot, completely unintentional as well.
Against a player who's gone for every unorthodox outshot this week so far, but that is a pull into the 3, which means Lee Budgeon will return. 102 left here for Barry Van Peer. He rescues it with a last dart.
Require 14.
So an awkward out this. These odd-numbered doubles can be problematic. Gets all 3 darts at it.
No score.
None of them in it.
Barry require 40. Games on the second leg, Barry Van Peer.
The doubles have been the problem for Barry Van Peer tonight, but he got that one, squeezed it round the corner.
Third leg, Barry to throw first.
Breaks the throw.
Game on.
Lee Budgeon.
It's Lee who's missed 7 darts at double in this one, despite a couple of maximums
60.
in the match. His finishing had been a strong suit earlier in the evening, particularly those combination checkouts.
61.
We're coming to the end of this evening's action. Budgeon and
134.
Van Peer both playing their final match. Lee has enjoyed a 4-0 win over Fallon Sherrock, but lost 4-3 to
100.
both Scott Taylor and Sean McDonald. Van Peer went down 4-1 to McDonald in his first match. Was then beaten by the same scoreline by
140.
Taylor. Sorry, won 4-1 against McDonald in his first match, and then that scoreline
59.
was
Barry
against
require
him for
167.
Taylor before that defeat we mentioned in the last leg decider to Sherrock.
59.
At the start of the night, both of these players were probably thinking about having more than 2 points in the pocket, but that's where one of them will end up.
140. Barry require
Well, this 108's gone a couple of times already tonight. We've seen Lee Budgeon take it. We've seen Sean McDonald take it. On this occasion, we will not see Barry Van Peer add himself onto that list.
We were hoping the 141 would go earlier tonight as well. The fact that it hasn't does give Van Peer an
27.
opportunity
Barry
to edge back
require
ahead.
52. $20. Lee require 114. $94.
Interesting that he opted
Barry
to stay
require
there.
32.
Wouldn't have been the usual route, and the dart was below. He must have felt he
Game
could
shot the
have
third
used
leg,
it.
Barry Van Peer.
Van Peer wondering why he hasn't been able to do that all evening.
Fourth leg, Lee to throw first. Game on. $58.
There is a
57.
slight sort of delay for these players. We are slightly behind schedule tonight, so they would have thought they were getting on stage about half an hour ago for this one, and to me they are playing it like
100.
a match that this sort of is an end of night match that they could have kind of
100.
done without.
It just feels a little bit laboured, a little bit tired. It is coming up to 1 a.m. here in the UK.
177.
Good darts over there from Budgeon. He has had a couple of visits like that in the game. 2 180s and now 177.
85.
And that's the thing about this game. One visit, one little spell in this short format, and you can suddenly turn a match around or get 1-1.
40.
Use of the
133. Lear
19s there for
126.
Barry Van Peer to level this up. Both players on a 1-2-6. But Budgeon with the advantage of throw. Sets up the double.
Barrier require 126.
Will he get a shot? Another. Leaves the ball.
101. Lee require 40.
Budgeon does get a shot.
Game
He
shot on the
pins
fourth
it dead
leg. Lee
centre.
Budgeon.
2-2. Still none the wiser to knowing which one of this pair will finish on 4 points.
Fifth leg, Berry to throw first.
Seem to walk a
Game
little
on.
close to Van Peer there, or am I just over-egging the potential drama to spice this one up?
78.
He's suggesting that he's trying to Thailand him.
A bit of intimidation, perhaps, yeah. Letting his presence be felt.
59.
Do like some presents.
Well, Berry's been dishing
100.
them out tonight, hasn't he? Seems to have sharpened up a little bit in this one. Still only on a strike rate of a quarter. 25% of his doubles.
96.
But it's 5 times better than he was in one of his matches this evening.
139.
Playing well on his throw is Barry Van Peer, which is all he's got to do in this one. He doesn't have to find a breaker throw here. He's got the advantage of throw, which means that will go all the way through the
100.
game. The onus is on Lee Budgeon to get the breaker throw. And Berry is making that a super tricky task.
46. 60. Barrier require 138.
Checking whether or not that was in the treble 19. It is.
106.
Informs his decision of where to go with dart 3. That's a perfect setup shot in the end.
60. Barrier require 32.
Had a quick glance over there to
Game shot on the fifth leg.
look at the Lee
Barry
Budgeon
Van
score there.
Peer.
You saw the eyes roll to the left. Just to see how close he was.
Sixth
But
leg
he
lead
was
to
last
throw
start in
first.
hand there
Game
for
on.
Barry Van Peer. And that's one of those 6-visit legs, which when you're doing that with the throw, it's forcing your opponent out in 15, which is 100 average.
123.
And that's what Budgeon's going to have to find here in a leg if he's going to get that breaker throw. But
81.
to get to that situation first, he's going to serve this one out. He's got to hold his throw to take this one all the way. That'll be our 4th match in a row that would have
22.
gone the distance. They're certainly getting their money's worth this evening.
Yeah, real contrast to the start of the night where 4 out of the first 5 matches
100.
only played 5 legs or fewer. 4-0 at the start, 4-1. Then we did have our first 4-3. Then another 2 4-1s.
40.
In fact, the most common scoreline at the MODUS Super Series is 4-2, and that hasn't happened
43.
once in this group so far.
$42. $87. $47.
He's making a move. He's making a move at the right time. Budgeon, it's hit and hope time.
Yeah, Van Peer's last visit was almost like a man who decided, look, I've had enough. I'm just going to get this done
66.
here and now. Treble 10, or the bull, and now that's made it awkward. 14 would have left the bull. Decided against it,
34.
so he's done exactly what we talked about earlier.
144.
He's played the percentage shot, which is why Budgeon's got a little bit of a smirk on his face. He said to his opponent, I don't think you're going to take out
59.
144.
Barrier
And Barry Van Peer has
132.
been proved right. Can he get it right?
Game,
does.
shot, and the match.
And
Barry
it's
Van
victory
Peer.
for Van Peer in what is a final match of the evening for that pair. A 4-2 success over Lee Budgeon. Nothing too much to write home about in performances, but Barry Van Peer bags the points. And there's one more match left to come tonight. It's Scott Taylor against Fallon Sherrock.
Welcome back to the MODUS Super Series. There before the break, Barry Van Peer got the better of Lee Budgeon by 4 legs to 2. So that means Van Peer at the end of his night picks up 4 points, 2 wins for his efforts. One final game to go this evening. See Scott Taylor in action. He takes on Fallon Sherrock. Taylor having won 2 of his 3 matches this evening. Sherrock looking to end with a 2-2 record in the games column. Right, watching this one, Matt and Chris.
Cheers, Henry. Scott Taylor, was looking like he might go through the card tonight with that defeat against Sean McDonald in his previous match, but paid to that possibility. And now Fallon Sherrock is looking to turn around her evening and end up on the same points as
First
Taylor
Scott to
and
throw
Barry
first.
Van Peer, who we just saw beat
on.
Lee Budgeon. If she does that, Budgeon would end at bottom of the table, despite a leg difference of 0. That must be pretty rare. It must tell a little bit of a story about Lee's luck tonight.
I think it'll tell more of a story about the group that we've got here. And
58.
we said at the start of the show, we feel this is going to be a group where everyone's going to beat each other. Certainly playing out that way. I think coming into this
57.
game, Scott Taylor would be aware he's the sort of player that will keep an eye on the screen. He would have seen what Fallon Sherrick did in that last game, that last performance where she was
140.
very fractionally under 100 average. She ran over the 100 average for pretty much all of that game, took out a 135,
96.
threatened the 9-dart finish. And for everything we've seen so far, she has been the biggest 180 hitter tonight. 5 180s across the evening.
Two of them at the start of that leg that promised so much. We're getting excited about the
82.
potential of a historic 9-dart finish. No woman has ever hit one in a televised match.
Remember the first
50.
televised
Scotch
ton plus
Royal
average? It was at the
126.
UK Open. It was Lisa Ashton that did that day. It was against Aaron Beeney. Play we've seen here a few times, but it's double six.
114. Fallon
Oh,
Royal
Scott Taylor there.
170.
To hold on to his throat. Fallon won't take the 170, so Taylor will return for double six to take the opener.
56. Scotch Royal 12.
Looked usable.
Game shot of the first
We'll
leg.
just find the
Scott
target
Taylor.
to take the lead in this last match of the first night of Group B action.
Second leg Fallon to throw first.
John
Game on.
McDonald will be very happy with his night's work. 3 wins from 4 matches, the exact same return he got last time he was here on opening night.
100.
For everybody else, they will feel it could go either way when the action resumes on Friday.
60.
10 p.m. in this group, live on Sporty Stuff TV and for viewers around the world on the MODUS Super Series YouTube channel. And if you tune in to YouTube from 1 p.m.
100.
UK time on Friday afternoon, you'll see the first 6 matches of Group C.
140.
The run-in will be live on both that platform and Sporty Stuff TV from 3 p.m. UK time.
60. 137.
It's a good performance early on here from Scott Taylor. He did this in his opening game as well. He came flying out the traps.
180.
Fallon's going with him.
Scotch Royal 164.
She was the biggest hitter 180s so far this evening. She's just had another one to that column.
She's got choices here.
82. Fallon requires
25 or 45. The problem going 25 is that you might end up hitting the ball and only getting 1 dart at double. The benefit of
57.
going that way is you're more likely to get
Scotch
2.
require 82.
Taylor will go for the ball with the first dart, surely. And he will get 1 dart at double. That double is tops.
62. Fallon you require 4.
Double is actually a pretty terrible time on tonight. But
No
it's a terrible 2s for Fallon Sherrick.
Scotch require
And Taylor
20.
returns a double 10.
This was the Sherrick throw as well.
15.
So that is plenty of opportunities
require
passed him by
4.
there for a very important break, which would have just gave him a bit of a cushion and a bit of a
On the second
breathing
leg,
room.
Fallon
It's all
Sherrick.
could-haves, would-have, should-haves. The opportunity has passed him by. Fallon Sherrick
Third
levels
leg
up the
Scott to
match.
throw first. Game on. $125.
Grimace on the face of Scott Taylor as he looks to respond and recapture control of this contest.
60.
I think the grimace and snarl world champion has to be John Part. I can't think of a better snarler.
140.
A few rivals. Kevin Painter's got a snarl about him, hasn't he?
100.
The many faces of Painter, you could say, because
59.
you don't have to guess what Kevin's thinking. It's written across his face at all times.
He's had contrasting times last couple of times he's been here. An early exit in this series, but did reach his
59.
weekly finals night last time. It was actually Sean McDonald who dished out a heavy defeat, but the artist did reach
99.
a final on the World Seniors Tour losing out to Robert Thornton at the weekend. Another for Fallon Sherrock. The tally continues to increase. Tops again. As I said, he's had trouble on his target tonight.
38.
Once again, he fails to find it.
102.
The second 180 of the match for Sherrock has given her a shot at the 102. Chooses double 16. Oh, what a shot it is.
Fallon Sherrock.
What a spell it is. Set up by the maximum. The 102 taken out. And that's the kind of thing she's been doing tonight.
Fourth leg Fallon.
These little surges of 6 darts. We saw the 6 perfect darts, but became 7 perfect darts in that 9 dart attempt. We saw her take out 306 in 6 earlier on.
120.
And then we saw her take out 282 in 6.
It's not just tonight. When I'm looking back through her Group A campaign, through Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, she had 16 180s across that campaign and 6 finishes over 100 and more.
140.
Well, it's two treble turns on the spin in this leg.
100.
It looks like Fallon Sherrock is the one putting her foot down and hurtling towards the checkered flag. And what a change of fortunes this evening for a player who
100.
lost the first 2 matches on aggregate 8-1.
60. Fallon Sherrock 141.
Well, this is 141 after 9.
If she takes this, can we clip it together and say she did the 9?
Well, she's done all parts of the equation now, just not in the same leg. Fallon Sherrock with a fabulous 141 finish.
Fifth leg Scott.
And she's had it again. So dangerous from that range of around 250. 6 starts from 241 on that occasion. And Sherrock has ended the evening as a standout player.
96.
Fabulous 102 finish, followed by an even
98.
more impressive 141. And a step towards 4 points.
59.
She would be tied with the opponent here, Scott Taylor and Berry Van Peer, and very much in the mix. The qualification for finals night on
100.
Saturday.
140.
Doesn't like that, but knows he has to stay there.
140.
Actually managed to find another treble.
100. Scott Sherrock 120.
Now needs a treble for a dart tops, not getting it. So Fallon Sherrock looking to make it a hat trick.
Fallon Sherrock 106.
The 3-figure finishers. 102 2 legs ago. 141 in the previous leg. And the 106 is on here.
90. Scott Sherrock
Almost
60.
3 on the spin. This to stay in the fight. Again, can't find tops.
40.
And this time can't find 10s.
Fallon Sherrock
And Fallon Sherrock can look to double her points haul by landing double 8. This is difficult.
Game, shot.
But she's found a way.
Fallon Sherrock.
And she's found a way to turn her evening around. Fantastic Fallon sees off Scott Taylor with a 4-1 success. An average again north of 90. That brilliant 141 finish to go with the 102 in the leg prior. And a couple more 180s to add to her ever increasing tally this week. It means that Sherrock turns the night around, losing her first 2 matches and then winning her last 2 for Scott Taylor. The opposite applies. And the last thing to do is to hear from Matthew Edgar, who is alongside Henry Deacon.
Yeah, thank you very much indeed, Chris. Fallon Sherrock, a case of a session of 2 halves.
When we was up here last, the very last question you asked me was, what does Fallon Sherrock have to do for the rest of the night? And I said, she needs to win. She's gone and done that. But I think the first question you should ask Fallon Sherrick is, what did she do differently going into the second half of that evening? Because that second half was completely contrast to the first. The first part of it, I was really worried for her. I thought, this looks like a player who's going to be finishing bottom of the table tonight. She was not at the races. She was missing doubles. And then all of a sudden, she hit that finish. The spark came. She played fantastic. She had a 141 finish. She had a 102 finish. She had a 135. So many 180s. Nearly did the 9 darter. That back half of the night was brilliant.
Shall we have a look at the 9 attempt? Because we almost made history, didn't we, this evening?
Well, we had the 141 in the last game, so I'm sure we could make this look like she did the 9 darter anyway, couldn't we?
Is it a bit of Edgar TV here?
A bit of funky editing. I think you can make it happen, yeah?
Well, this is the second max here. And then what's it like to be in this position once that treble goes in? Is the heart accelerating at that moment?
Oh, yeah, you can see from the reaction there, she's already starting to think about what could be, and the mind starts running away really from the second you get that second 180, because you know you're on it. There's no way of getting around from it. You know you are. I think the only benefit here was that we didn't have a crowd at this point, because they would then build up that sort of ambience and that atmosphere, and then you're trying to play in that cauldron. So a bit of a bonus there. It's a shame it didn't go, but when you say what happens here, that's when we just slip over the 141 finish from that game. We just put that bit in, and me and Murph can voice over that we can make that fit.
I'm sure we can make it work somehow. Right, let's have a look at the table at the midway point in the group, because as great as Fallon Sherrick has been in the second half of the evening, it's Sean McDonald who is at the top of that table. 6 points to his name. But you know what? It is going to be a session full of carnage tomorrow, isn't it, elsewhere?
I don't know how to now predict those other positions. I'm surprised to see Berry Van Peer actually in second position, but look at the legs column, +1, and he's in second position. Welcome to this week's Group B. It is going to unfold probably around about Game 6 tomorrow. That first lap of fixtures, I think, is just going to give us the warm-up, the appetizer for what's to come. But this is really going to get juicy around fixture 2 and 3.
As to Sean McDonald, Punisher by name, Punisher by nature, and he just finds a way to pull out finishes out of the fire, to find moments out of the fire.
So
He did exactly that
from
against
the
time.
first night, you're in a very
People
strong
tend
position.
to get into a situation against Sean McDonald where they have a shot
Henry
first,
then.
whether it's a dart or
Fallon should
2
get
darts,
one win on the board
and then
tonight, he'll still
he
give it that
steps up
opportunity.
and hits the finish. I can see
double
where he gets a
19
nickname
from
from
the
Punisher,
Sean
because
McDonald.
he stepped in and took
Sean
every single
McDonald.
opportunity that's presented to him.
That one.
If you want to beat Sean McDonald, you have to actually beat him. And to beat him properly, you can't let him have an opportunity. You have to be
Shawnee
taking those 1 or 2
We're gonna
dart
go.
chances.
And as far as a
16.
player like Sean is concerned,
Oh,
I
what a
spoke to him
finish that
this
is.
evening. He
Sean
said
McDonald.
darts isn't the be-all and end-all for him. He's got a job elsewhere. That's his priority at the minute. He comes here, of course, with that competitive edge, that competitive nature, but ultimately there's an enjoyment factor for him. It's not a case of coming here and everything's on the line when he's here. How much does that make a difference?
Makes a massive difference. I can speak from the voice of experience in this, from someone who's played on the Pro Tour, where you're paying your bills by winning games of darts, and then when you've got other commitments or other things going on in your life, well, actually, then you win because you want to win, not because you have to win. And certainly when you lose a match, you don't come off thinking about what the opportunities was, or what the potential prize money was, or the other opportunities it could have opened up. You just think about the match, and he's in a very, very luxury position, and very enviable for a lot of people to have that sort of background.
Berry Van Peer this evening. I feel like as the days go on, we talk about another different component about Berry's game. Tonight it was the missed doubles, which came to cost him in the early part of the session. What do you think's happening with him this week?
I honestly don't know. He's got me at a loss. I have an opinion on everything. Literally everything.
Yeah, he does.
But with Berry Van Peer, I'm really struggling to pinpoint where... I mean, is it going wrong? He's in second position. You know, are we nitpicking here?
Is it because we got such an expectation of him, do you think?
Absolutely. But we've only got the expectation of him because he's built that expectation. He's built that reputation. He comes here with that form line, and we're only judging him by that. That's not what we're seeing here. But there's still nothing saying he's going to get through and go and win Saturday, and then you'll be asking him on Saturday, it's been a rocky road to get to this position. So don't discount Barry Van Peer is the moral of the story, but there's something just not clicking.
Well, we are going to see what happens in Group B tomorrow, and I'm not going to be cruel. I'm not going to ask you a prediction because it is going to be a case of trying to predict the unpredictable as far as that's concerned. But we are going to be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. It is the conclusion to our Group C action. Now, that is being spearheaded at the minute by Jamie Kelling. He won 4 out of his 5 matches. Him and Alex Small will be jostling out for those top 2 spots. It's another tightly contested group. But as far as Group B is concerned, well, Sean McDonald punished the lot.